presents everybody. Okay, let me tell you what's happening now in terms of weather forecast. It's a mostly cloudy morning in Nairobi at 16, Mombasa partly cloudy at 26, Malindi cloudy at 27, Kisumu clear skies at 20, Nyeri partly cloudy at 15, Nakuru mostly clear at 15. Now, Eldoret is partly cloudy at 14 and Kakamega partly cloudy at 17. Kampala mostly cloudy at 20. Johannesburg cloudy at 12. Dar es Salaam clear skies at 25. Kinshasa cloudy at 23. Lagos clear at 27. London cloudy morning at 7. Paris mostly cloudy with thunderstorms this morning at 7. And New York cloudy at 20. Okay, so we are live there. And who's online? Let me tell you who's online. Listening from my rainy Bernard Estate. Who's there? You know, this person who tunes in from Bernard Estate every morning.
Where's Bernard Estate?
Upper to
Bernard. Okay, na Bernard iko wapi?
Lavington Pale.
Oh.
Andrew Franklin is tuned in.
Oh, ni Andrew, eh?
Yes, Andrew Franklin. Dan Kuto, good morning. Tuned in from Eldoret. Beautiful morning here. Oh, it's a beautiful one. Good. Maurice Werengai Nyongesa, Wamuchanja Cabras, tuned in. Lilian Odenge, good morning, gentlemen. Thank God for the beautiful day. Listening in from Ahero, Humphrey Asuma, Situation Room, home of political commentaries. Tuned in from Eldoret. Samin Duda, tuned in. Andrew Mark from Nakuru, tuned in. Atieno Jermaine Jackson, Jumbo Situation Room. Kisumu is what? Is locked. Daniel Munyangane Elahalua Ahudo. Good morning, Erican City. I wish you successful conversations to the tail end. Tuned in from Eldoret, Tiriwa Ndani as usual. Kibichi Karonate, good Spice FM, waking up sleepy heads. Time to have real talk. Who are the guests today? Just told you the guests. Makinchor, don't count your blessings, let them come. That's a Chinese saying. Okay. Interesting one.
Repeat that saying again?
Don't count your blessings, let them come.
Zikianza kuja, let them just keep coming.
Let them just come. Stop saying it. Blessing 5. Aye. Goes against that nursery school rhyme. Kiprono Kitianga, good morning, legends. Albagon Marishoni tuned in. Dennis wa Murkwijit, Kapenguria Inaskeliza, Alfredson bin Kifaruson, Kurisoi North, Setoito, tuned in. Kimilili is connected through Amos Freeman. Chris Mann, morning, guys. MMUST. Kamakawa. Where is MMUST?
I have absolutely no idea, sir.
Multimedia University of Science and Technology.
Why didn't they just call it that instead of MMS?
Must. Or Masinde Muliro.
Yes,
it's actually Masinde Muliro, I think.
Yes.
Masinde Muliro University of Science and Technology.
Surely.
Is tuned in. Bumawaria Alex, tuned in from Doha, Qatar. Let me go into YouTube and see who's tuned in. Willis E, good morning from Nairobi. Christian Silla, good morning from Doha. Gentlemen, just for how long will the needs of the few matter more than the needs of all Kenyans? That's the question, isn't it?
Yep.
Just for how long will the needs of a few...
That is what you call getting to the heart of the matter.
Sindio?
Yes.
Hapo hivyo. Roberto says he's tuned in from Moscow. Summer came in early. As always, let's have a conversation. Summer came in early in Moscow.
Okay.
It even came before spring.
if they say so.
Okay. Gashoni Titus, good morning, team. Good morning, and everybody. Welcome to the conversation. What's today's Proverb City?
You know, I got a challenge yesterday, a very interesting one. Somebody I know well and who listens to our show decided that it was their turn to share a proverb with me. And I actually found that it's one of these proverbs that you read and you're not certain whether you should laugh loud because it's fairly tickling and fairly enticing. But I said to myself, you know what? A proverb is a
proverb.
Yes. Now, I will not mention the person's name, neither will I mention where the proverb comes from. But before I talk about or mention the proverb from Mali, I'm going to mention this particular proverb.
Okay.
Okay? Now, listen very carefully, Eric, and you listen carefully. A foolish woman takes seriously promises made by a naked man. My reaction as well, I read it and I laughed. I said, okay.
A foolish woman takes seriously
promises
made by a naked man.
Yes.
Aye, sawa.
Okay. Now let's get on to more serious business, shall we? Let's talk about what?
Proverb from Mali.
Proverb from where?
Mali.
Okay. Now this one is even more interesting. If it's not a boy, it will be a girl, says the fortune teller.
If it's not a boy,
it will be a girl.
It will be a girl,
says the fortune teller.
Says the fortune teller.
Yes.
Okay. Let's hear what other people will be thinking about that particular proverb. All right. Kilunda has also texted me, says Kilunda tuned in from Dorset in the UK. Karibu sana pia, Kilunda. Thank you for tuning in. Now, let's look at the headlines in the papers.
Shall we?
Start with the Standard. Tell us.
Yes. The Standard. Right bang in the middle. Raila's untold secrets. Okay? In his new book, Why Baba is Not the Fifth, Azimio leader's chief agent in last year's presidential election, Said Tabao Olekanchori spills the beans on the behind-the-scenes intrigues that cost the opposition leader victory. Among them, the Tower of Babel situation among the coalition top brass. Okay? In those days, if Junet Mohammed told Baba someone was a Baba when he was a butcher, Odinga would unquestionably stick out his neck for a shave. This is part of what this gentleman has to say. Right. Okay. Top. Now,
Junet says huyu ni kinyozi.
Huyu ni kinyozi na huyu jamaa bana kumbe.
Kumbe jamaa ni jamaa buchari.
Ni buchari yule. Okay. I'm a butkeri. So, on the right-hand side, national news, there is no shoot to kill order on crowds. Interior CS Kithure Kindiki tells Parliament in his maiden appearance that there was no shoot to kill order on crowd management during the Azimio demos. Reiterates a zero-tolerance policy on extrajudicial killing. Okay? Then, lower down at the bottom, race for KRA boss. Who will it be? Okay? They're still asking that one. However, again in national news, when it comes to the police service, they don't have that question. Because
they are there, who will it be?
They have got, yes, Douglas Kanja, new deputy police chief, done.
Right.
Not wondering who's going to be where. Then in sports, there's a gentleman called Pep. I think he's a manager for Manchester City or something.
Yes.
Okay? Those of you who understand football. Well, they're saying he was emotional. I think City must have won something. Or maybe they lost. But
they beat his old team, Bayern.
Oh, they did? Oh, he used to be in Bayern, that team in
Germany.
Munich.
In Munich.
Oh, very good. Okay, so they beat your team. Okay. Bas, now that's the headline in the Standard. Now we go to the Star.
Yes.
Hey, this one is not going anywhere. Anyway, page 7, right-hand corner, till, green, latest update. This is on the Hustler Fund. 26 billion borrowed so far from Hustler Fund. The full story is on page 7 of the
26 billion so far.
Borrowed.
Borrowed,
okay? Then, bang in the middle, Piling pressure. He was told a town hall meeting in Nairobi today. Okay? That's piling pressure. Cost of living. Raila opts for new strategy. Azimio planning town hall meetings and rallies to run concurrently with talks. That's a new strategy.
Yeah, strategy.
Okay.
They're calling them town hall meetings.
They're calling them town hall meetings.
Okay.
All right. Then, of course, they also have the story of the new DIG, Douglas Kanja, who was he was actually the GSU unit commandant. All right. Okay.
Now he's the
deputy
Inspector
maximum
General
boss of the police service. Yeah. Right. Then, defaulters. Help cash crisis deepens as bad debts hit 41.4 billion shillings. People who owed help money are not paying.
Oi.
Okay. Law review meeting takes place 28 years after the last one. That one is also in the headline. Law review meeting takes place.
Which law?
It's Kenya. Kenya.
Which law?
Law. Look at my hands. Okay? You got the picture?
Okay. Law.
Law.
The law.
Law.
Okay. Let me tell you then what's in the nation. Okay? Raila's agent spills the beans on Paul loss. This is that story about Saitabo. It's front page on the Standard, front page on the Nation. This new book of his. Saitabo Ole Kanchori, who served as chief agent of Azimio leader Raila Odinga in the general election last year, has thrown the cat among the pigeons with his book, Why Baba is Not the Fifth, in which he tells of the chaos, power struggles, and infighting among top campaign managers that ensued at the coalition's command center that was under then President Uhuru Kenyatta's brother, Muhoho Kenyatta. 10. He has thrown the cat among the
Pigeons.
Bas.
Pigeon.
Another small headline here. Zambia rules out maize export deal with Kenya.
Kwisha.
Zambia will not be exporting maize to Kenya following a deficit in local output. Its finance minister, Situmbeko Musokotwane, has said. Situmbeko Musokotwane.
Right.
Dr. Musokotwane says the Southern African country will instead be importing maize
From Kenya.
to plug shortfalls occasioned by a poor harvest last season. Zambia's decision came as our CS for Agriculture, Medeka Linturi, announced plans to contract Zambian farmers to grow maize exclusively for export to Kenya.
This minister was not told about that plan.
You see, now that is a different thing.
Yeah,
I think my casual reading of this is those two are not related.
There are two different stories, but the same Zambia.
The deal that we've been given is come grow your maize here, you can take it to your country. That is not Zambia exporting.
Okay.
We've been given a through pass.
Okay.
You can grow your maize here, you can take it from here, you can take it to your country. The other one is Zambia from its own now strategic saying reserves. Are we going to allow maize to be exported?
And they're saying no.
From our farmers. No, we can't. Actually, we need to import.
But then on the other hand, we could actually now also return the hand. Okay?
And send them our maize.
And tell, no. Yeah. We can give them land to also plant maize.
Oh.
Because we also have land. Yeah. So give us 40. That's why give them 100,000 acres.
Come
plant
maize. Come do your thing here.
Come plant your maize and then just take it to your country.
Yes.
It's okay.
Another headline, climate, more clean energy buses launched. So there's a photo here of Transport CS Kipchumba Murkomen launching an electric bus. He's saying these electric buses will curb carbon emissions.
They will, huh?
Yes. It's a new swanky electric bus that's branded Metro, Super Metro, and it's by Basigo.
These electric things sound very good. But just like we have petrol station, electric station.
The charging points, huh?
Yeah.
It's an interesting one to have. Actually, we should invite, remember, the business development of Basigo, Moses Derito. He was here.
Why don't we invite him so he can explain this to us? Maybe he can also explain how it is. Because I'm told there's some cars which also use gas. And there are gas stations where you go. I know because I have boarded an Uber, and the guy told him they use gas, and he went to a place.
LPG.
Yes, that thing doesn't sit well. I'm not comfortable with it, but maybe if somebody who understands explains it, I will be able to. The car moved, it took me from point A to B and C to D, no problem. But I need to understand that technology.
Yes. Yeah. Moses, if you're listening already, here's an extended invitation to you.
Yes.
Sometime next week, come and tell us about these buses. So where are you charging them? Okay. Other headline in the Nation today: alarm as counties hurtle towards financial crisis. Devolved units are owed 92.5 billion shillings. They haven't received a shilling for January, February, March, according to a breakdown by the Council of Governors. In a letter to the National Treasury CS, Professor Njuguna Ndongo, the county bosses fell short of accusing the national government of undermining devolution. Funds to the counties on the 15th of every month hardly ever remitted, putting the administration in embarrassingly precarious circumstances. They only fell short of accusing the national government of undermining devolution. I don't fall short.
They didn't fall short. They did. Because if you have not received money for 3 months, is it 3 or 4? 3.
3.
We've started the 4th month now. And that's the money you need to function with to pay those debts, the ones which we call, what do we call them?
Which ones? Pending bills and salaries
and so forth.
Yes.
3 months down the line. The word sabotage comes to mind very quickly.
Chap.
Yeah, because if we're talking about national government, they only have that problem this month, or rather last month. So they have been receiving their money while the county governments have not been receiving their money.
That's true.
This is not a good story, is it?
No, it's not. No. The Business Daily, before we take a look at traffic. KQ risks losing millions to Boeing for planes deposits. Kenya Airways is fighting to save a 310 million shillings deposit it made with US plane maker Boeing Corporation for aircraft purchases after the expiry of the preservation period rendered the deposit non-refundable. The airline disclosed in its annual report for the year ending December last year that it risks losing the millions of shillings given deposits made for plane purchases are not refundable if a carrier fails to buy the planes. So they put in money, 310 million shilling, any deposit, car nayo, and then tutakuja fanya top up, then buy the planes.
Yeah, but this
the contract says after some time, if you don't complete this deal, then...
Yeah, this story is incomplete.
That's why it continues on to page 2. What I just read was the headline.
Okay. Sawa. Yeah, I'm happy with the headline.
The other headline: why cash from Kenyans in South Africa shrunk 13 times. What? Dollar inflows from Kenyans living in South Africa have shrunk 13 times over the past 3 years, pointing to difficulties in getting work permits for skilled workers post-COVID. Where? Let's take a break. It's 25 minutes to 7. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. We'll be looking at those stories in greater detail shortly. But first, let's see how the roads are looking like.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Okay, so it's not yet looking bad at all on the roads. At as at 24 minutes to 7. Thika Superhighway, it's only busy at Pangani, the interchange with Kiambu Road, or where the road joins with Kiambu Road. Jogoo Road has started building up, but it's not looking bad. Juja Road is not looking bad. Outer Ring Road is fine. Langata, Ngong Roads, Limuru Roads are all fine. Let's see whether this situation will hold at 7.
Spice up your life.
Okay, 23 to 7. What story do you want to start with?
Let me go to the Star.
Okay.
All right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's a very interesting story here.
Mm.
I did not read the headline of it, but I'm going to tell the story now. This is a story on page 3 of the Star.
Mm.
Drama as Nyong'o locks out secretary despite stay order.
Uh-huh.
Court reinstates Auma after he was fired, but government changed office lock. Let me read the story.
Mm.
Embattled Kisumu County Secretary John Auma cannot access his office despite the High Court reinstating him temporarily. He had moved to court and obtained a stay order after Governor Anyang' Nyong'o sacked him barely 6 months into office. The locks to his office have been replaced, forcing him to leave, an act which amounts to defying a court order. This is a bit native, but there it is. Employment and labor court relations. Isn't it a bit basic? Judge Christine Bahari issued temporary staying orders following the petition filed by Uma, who was sacked last week. Justice Bahari directed the petition to resume duties pending the hearing and determination of the application by Uma over termination of his contract. The court had further ordered both parties in the petition to appear before them on April 19th for an inter-party hearing. In the petition filed under certificate of urgency, the county government of Kisumu, the governor of Kisumu, and Nyong'o are listed as respondents. In a letter dated 28th of March, Nyong'o terminated Auma, directed him to vacate office and hand over functions to Public Service Executive Judith Oluoch immediately. Through his lawyer, Christopher Yeko, Auma moved to court to challenge the governor's decision. He argued that the letter of termination was unprecedentedly short, without cause, reason, grounds, notice, etc., or even salary lieu notice as required by the law. Meaning, it was just written, go, you leave. And since you're joking, locks changed. Yes, and please stay there. Anyway, I would like to really understand what happened here.
Yeah. I mean, why this? And county secretary is not a junior officer.
No. That's head of the civil service.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's just like that, barely 7 months into office.
You were the one who appointed this person. So what is it that happened between the two of you that made you now decide? Because now, once it hits the headlines and it's news, we are asking the question we shouldn't ask. Couldn't this thing have been settled perhaps in a quieter way? Couldn't the differences have been ironed out? Who rubbed who the wrong way? And who's trying to show who that this is a pissing contest that the ones were going to win? Because when matters get to court, man, they become public matters. Yes.
Okay. So,
yes,
Raila has fired a warning shot to Ruto over talks. Azimio Chief Raila Odinga's camp has fired a final warning to government that successful talks are the only remedy to mass action, even as focus shifts to Parliament to urgently pass a motion granting legitimacy to the bipartisan committee. Opposition leaders say they'll not act on the hardline position by the government side, but they'll decide whether their rivals are keen to resolve the political crisis once the committee gets down to business. If not, they vow to resume anti-government protests. Now, this comes, of course, just as that headline that you had read earlier says that they are starting town halls when? Today.
Okay.
When they are now going to start those town halls from today. Today's meeting seeks to unite Kenyans, seek solutions to national problems, develop a roadmap for national transformation, and a brighter future for ourselves and future generations. Azimio principals Eugene Omalo and Wycliffe Oparanya say the talks had entered a delicate stage and that it's now prudent to accord the Joint Committee time to draw its work plan, even as they resume their town hall meetings and People's Baraza on Sunday to brief the public on the ongoing process. So on one hand, they're saying it's about dialogue, but then we'll be holding these town hall meetings and barazas to give updates on what's going on.
There's something that I'm questioning here. Yes, I understand what has been said. It's clear. The Star has a similar story.
Yeah.
They even quote Wycliffe Oparanya, who says that as negotiators take up their responsibilities, we will embark on a series of direct engagements with members of the public through town hall meetings and public barazas. I get this, but what are they going to engage in, and how is this going to help bring about or solve the problems that we know we have? And of these problems, which one do they believe is of direct concern to the Mwananchi? Is it the opening of the server? Is it deciding who is in IBC and who is not? Is it the cost of living? Is it the education system? And when they have these barazas and town hall meetings, are these things going to be center stage in their discussions to find out from the Mwananchi what the Mwananchi considers to be a priority? And then are they going to focus on the priority? Because if it is simply tightening the noose on the government's neck, that doesn't necessarily provide a solution. It just tells us, you're telling the government where to jump off, and you're telling them that you can do this. That we get. But how does the citizen benefit from these?
Good question. Good question. If the town halls are actually forums for the public to speak and to give their message to the committee, then that's something. You know, where the people are the ones who are speaking. It's actually the citizen-led town hall.
Yes.
Citizens are standing up and saying, these are the issues, this is what we feel, this is what we want, this is what we'd like to see, this is what we'd like to do. It makes sense. But if the town halls are, the leaders are going to come and address the people and say, na wasipokubali, na unaona vile wamesema, sisi tumeamua.
No. No. That isn't going to move us forward, because the problems we're talking about here, they're not hypothetical, they're real. And a solution has to be found. Yes. And part of it has to do with listening to what people are saying. Yes. So town hall meeting to listen to people, excellent. So when you come out, they say, this is what the people have said. And this is what we want to now push as a priority. So even when people go into these talks, you're saying, when we've had these town hall meetings, this is what we have been told. So can we get on with this and solve these things and come up with a solution so that the Mwananchi can feel that their lives are being sorted out?
Exactly. That's what is important. Also, now that we're still talking about Parliament and what Parliament is about to do, yesterday, Kithure Kindiki, the Interior Cabinet Secretary, made history when he was the first CS under this new constitution to enter Parliament and answer questions from members of Parliament directly from the floor of the House. The CS was answering a question raised by Chuka Igamba Ng'ombe MP Patrick Munene, who wanted to know the circumstances that led to the killing of Daniel Mutembe'i on March 18, 2023, that sparked demonstrations by locals over what they termed as inaction by police to arrest the suspects. He says the government has not issued a shoot-to-kill order in controlling crowds, and that the IPOA is investigating this incident in Chuka that led to this. I'd like to inform members of Parliament and the country at large that the police do not have a shoot-to-kill order when handling crowds. We're investigating all incidents, whether it's alleged that police used excessive force, to find out if it's a police or civilian guns used and action taken. He informed the House that the police did not use force in stopping the rescue of a suspected bandit who was being treated for injuries in Iten to avoid civilian casualties. He was responding to Baringo North MP Joseph Makelap's question on when the rescued bandit will be brought to book. The minister assured that the suspect will be arrested. Kindiki was responding to a question by Gilgil MP Martha Wangari on the shortage of birth registration forms across the country, and he explained that this was occasioned by the slow process at the government printer, which he has directed to speed up. He says the government has changed the management at the government printer and that his office has written 3 letters asking that it expedites the services it offers. He says it's no longer a requirement for children to have 2 parents registered at the point of birth in order to save single mothers the headache that they face, where in some circumstances the biological fathers are not willing to provide necessary documents. So he was answering various questions from various members in the House yesterday. You see, ameenda mambo ya Shuka Igamba Ng'ombe. The MP for Shuka Igamba Ng'ombe has asked a question. The MP for Gilgil Martha Wangari has asked a question. The MP and the leadership of the minority, Opiyo Wandayi and Robert Mbui, have asked a question. The MP for Baringo has asked a question. Now, is this a better model? Is it more effective and efficient than if he had been summoned by the Committee on Security to go and speak to the Committee on Security?
What I'm wondering about is, okay, you've gone, you've been asked questions, you've answered, we've heard, then? It's the then I'm concerned about. If he goes to this committee, sits there, he answers question, and then? This is supposed to achieve a certain purpose.
Yes.
What's that purpose? And has it been achieved?
Number one is accountability.
Yes.
To the people.
Yes.
So you are the one who has this responsibility. You're the duty bearer. When it comes to issues of, let's say, police shooting demonstrators live, okay? So this is a matter of public concern. What is it that the police are doing? What kind of orders have they received? So you come in and say, no, they don't have such kind of an order. We're actually investigating. Now, of course, the then question comes in, so when do you expect an investigation report? What happens thereafter? What's the difference between committee and plenary?
The issue, this matter of asking the CS to go before a committee or to go before Parliament, it presupposes that it will bring about some desired results that previous methods of accountability did not bring into being. I am uncertain. I'm uncertain because after the questions have been asked and they've been answered, I'm asking the question again, and then? He has said, for crowds, we don't give shoot to kill orders. Okay, so when do you give shoot to kill orders?
For bandits.
Yes. And even then, man, there are so many questions that arise from this. At some level, I get the impression it could actually produce wonderful, wonderful results. But at some level, I feel it's just window dressing. We were going through the motions to show that, yes, we are now holding the CS accountable. You're holding the CS accountable. The minister in charge. We understand all that. But
then what?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And then what? And more so, the real cause of concern is our parliament. Knowing our parliament as I do and our members of parliament, the moment these questions have been asked, they've finished. They've done their job. They called the CS. They've done. It's finished. Now, who's the next CS? And you're asking, okay, the matters that made it mandatory or made it possible for for this sort of chit-chat to take place was because we felt that there are things we don't understand. Now, do we understand these things better now? Now, did you also give an account of the progress we have made with the matters in the North Rift?
That's what you were talking about, the suspects will be arrested. When you were asked by Baringo North MP Joseph Makilap, so there's a bandit who was rescued. When are you going to arrest that bandit again? He'll be arrested.
By the time that bandit was not arrested. That bandit was in hospital because he had been shot. That's the story. Okay.
Yes.
Now, for a rescue to have been mounted, that bandit was important. And remember, we talked about it yesterday. But does it not tell you the story? Okay. You think the bandits didn't know the police were there? They did. Did they appear to you like they gave a damn whether the police were there or not?
I personally don't really understand the matter of question time. We're going to have two MPs joining us today. One is a very seasoned politician, one of the most experienced members of the parliament that we have currently in the current parliament, Adam Kanan, joining us shortly. We'll ask him. So what's the difference between this thing that you've introduced now, the committee questions, and the previous one where you used to have question time, members of parliament standing? Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask question number 5 on the order paper. Honorable Minister, Mr. Speaker, I rise to answer. Mr. Speaker, yes, I am aware.
And you know that story, that's it.
And it continues in stories. Another headline story.
Well, I'm looking at the Hustler Fund story. This is on page 7. 26 billion borrowed so far from the Hustler Fund. Okay? Now, this story tells us how, according to the latest update, this April the 12th, 9 a.m., that was yesterday, okay, 26 billion had been borrowed. Yeah?
Yeah.
The data from the ministry also showed that 16.25 billion has been repaid so far. And while Kenyans have saved 1.3 billion through the Hustler Fund, also 38.7 million transactions have been made. So this looks like a success story in the making.
How much has been repaid? Let's go back to that one.
16.25 billion.
How much has been borrowed?
26 billion.
26 billion borrowed, 16 repaid so far.
Yes, and 1.3 billion has been saved, meaning savings. Well, that's mandatory saving.
Blah, blah, blah story.
Yeah, that one, you take, but you are given this and what are you saving? 1.3.
1.3 billion is in savings.
Has been saved, yes.
Where is mine? How can I access it?
There's that one. Yes, hold on to that question. Don't go away with it. Just hold on there, right there. Just hold it there. Okay? This fund is specifically designed to support small-scale traders in the country. It comprises of 4 products: personal, micro-business, SME, and startup loans. To access the fund, Kenyans can dial, the number 254, okay, on their mobile phone. During the launch, borrowers were warned against defaulting. Now, the story is the borrower, they are now moving to work with SACCOs, okay? So that if you are in a SACCO, you can also access these funds through a SACCO. Remember, personal, that's the one which you borrowed for personal and they give you that huge amount.
Yes.
Okay, then there's micro businesses, okay, SME, and then startup loans. I really do not understand. I personally don't know the difference.
You don't get it?
No. It's ignorance on my part. There's a difference here, but I don't know the difference between micro business, SME, and startup loan. I don't know the difference. It's a loan, as far as I'm concerned, and it's supposed to go into business.
Yeah, are there different interest rates? Is it different amounts?
Yes.
Maybe that's where the difference is.
And they're saying that, you see, once this thing goes through the partnership that the Hustler Fund wants with the SACCOs, SACCOs have a structure. You'll then be able to borrow a large amount ranging from 100,000 shillings to 2.5 million. That's what you'll be able to do.
Using the structures of the SACCO.
Yes, use the structure of a SACCO. Because SACCOs have a structure.
There's a time I'd spoken to the principal secretary for MSMEs, and in fact even the cabinet secretary as well, Chelugui. We reach out to them. Now we need a proper update on this.
We do.
And just to seek to understand all those issues. So these people who have borrowed, do we know what the money has done? Because what you'd expect is that at least the Hustler Fund board, which was finally gazetted, would be doing that kind of work or asking those kind of questions. Can you go and seek this person? We've noticed this person has borrowed 4 times. Can you go and find out what exactly are they doing? What's the nature of their business? Can we start getting those stories? The stories of, so this is the impact of this 26 billion shillings that has been borrowed through the Hustler Fund.
Can we hear
This is why
stories?
this 16 billion shillings has been repaid. And the people who have repaid are, were they borrowing? Did they put it into use? Have they borrowed again? Yeah, we need to hear these stories. Figures are just that. Figures.
It would be nice if we could hear testimonies of people who've actually used this money and benefited from it directly.
Yeah.
It would be good.
Yeah.
Yes, and it would lend credence to the fund, and it would spur more interest in it. Yes, it would.
Long queues, short tempers as farmers struggle to buy fertilizer. Long queues have become a daily occurrence at NCPB depot in Thika as farmers from surrounding sub-counties scramble for subsidized fertilizer. The farmers from Gatanga, Gatundu, Kandara and Thika, however, have voiced their frustration over what they describe as complex procedures to obtain the government-subsidized fertilizer, saying this will frustrate their efforts to grow crops during the ongoing rainy season. Over 5 million registered farmers are eligible for these subsidies, available at various NCPB stores across the country. And according to Michael Kariuki, who had travelled from Muruka in Kandara, many elderly farmers are not familiar with the technology that NCPB is using to redeem vouchers. He says they are often relying on assistance from younger, tech-savvy individuals. Millicent Kabura from Gatanga says, I arrived here at around 10 a.m. and I was sent back for a photocopy of my national ID. When I returned, I was placed at number 194. Up to now, and it's almost 4 p.m., I'm told they have only served 60. 194 minus 60, 134. It's 4 p.m. 134 to go. She added, this is tedious and a waste of time. I'm forced to go back home since it's about to rain. Upon arrival at the depot, farmers must register with NCPB clerks, who then send a code to their phone. They enter the code and their M-Pesa PIN to confirm the number of fertilizer bags that they wish to purchase. Store clerks then verify payment and issue the corresponding number of bags. Michael Kariuki from Gatondo, who had arrived at the depot some minutes after 6 a.m. on Tuesday, said the government should consider taking the fertilizer closer to them to save them from travelling to Thika or Maragua from Muranga. The Thika depot is serving farmers from Kiambu, Machakos, parts of Muranga, 17,200 registered farmers in Kiambu County alone. Now, this is where the confusion starts coming in, okay? Farmers in those 6 counties of the North Rift and Central Rift are receiving an SMS alert telling them, come to the depot to take fertilizer. Mm-hmm. Okay? Farmers from this Mount Kenya regions, Muranga, Kiambu, blah, 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 Machakos, you have to go to the depot. You go and register. The depot clerk inputs your number. You receive an SMS that now gives you a coupon. You redeem that coupon. See the difference?
I see the difference.
The difference is that the farmer in North Rift, in Kitale, for example, has already been registered. Their size, the plot of land has been determined. And the amount of fertilizer that they ought to receive has also been determined. So the farmer just comes knowing, I have been allocated 2,000 bags. So I come and redeem with my voucher the 2,000 bags. I pay 3,500 per bag. I take my 2,000 bags. Now this farmer who's coming in from Thika and comes and registers, what if you say, me, I wanted 20,000 bags at 3,500?
Bit of a problem there, isn't it?
And then they take it and start going to sell at 6,000.
Yes.
Because of this frustration. You see, this woman from who has come from Kandara and was number 194 and has been there since up to 4 p.m. If you told her, instead of buying at 3,500, I'm going to sell it to you at 3,800, she'll buy.
She'll buy it. Because of the inconvenience that she's now undergoing.
Yeah.
You know, the stories that were told regarding the fertilizer was that there'd be an even distribution and that there'd be commonality in the way it is being distributed. We are now seeing uncommonality here.
Yep.
Okay, now we begin to ask, will the purpose for which this fertilizer was meant, will it serve the purpose really?
That's where the questions start emerging, and that's where you just unaachia Mungu.
Kuna zingine ni kweli.
Unaachia Mungu.
It is prudent that you do so.
7 a.m. Time for the news.
The news at the top of the hour on Vibes. The news at the top of the hour on Vibes Radio.
Good morning, this is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. President William Ruto has made new appointments within the senior ranks of the National Police Service in the new changes communicated by Head of Public Service Felix Koskei. The President appointed Douglas Kanja Kirosho as the new Deputy Inspector General of Police Service. Former police spokesperson Bruno Shioso is the new Director General of the Kenya Coast Guard Service. Now, Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition party is today expected to hold the first public baraza in Nairobi to discuss its direction with regards to the bipartisan talks with the government over the issues they have raised. The meeting that will be held in Fungamano House is the first since the suspension of the protests that were held every Monday and Thursday. It is believed that Azimio's move to reconvene the meetings has been prompted by Kenya Kwanza's position to insist that no talks will be held outside Parliament, a statement emphasized by Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua.
Ile mzee wa maandamano ameweza kutusumbua. Si mmejua ameweza kutusumbua na kutupigia kelele. Ati anasema anataka handshake. Mnataka? Mnakataa? Sisi tumemwambia yeye mambo ya handshake hakuna, mambo ya kuharibu biashara ya watu hakuna. Waende huko bunge waongee na Kimani Ichung'wah na huyu Mokoji na wabunge wetu. Rais wetu hana nafasi ya kukaa chini na hawa. Sisi tuko busy kwa kazi ya maendeleo. Tumeelewana?
On Sunday, Azimio plans to hold a public rally at Jacaranda Stadium in Nairobi. In addition, the Azimio team appointed to lead the talks is expected to address the media about its arrangements later today. This, as it is not known when the Kenya Kwanza and Azimio talks will start, because so far the two groups appointed to lead the talks have not met or agreed on their arrangement. Kakamega Senator Boni Khalwale, who will lead Kenya Kwanza in the talks, has asked Kenyans to be patient while strategies are being put in place. Khalwale has dismissed claims that there may be tension between Kenya Kwanza and Azimio during the talks. A conflict has already come up between Kenya Kwanza and Azimio regarding the list of names submitted. Azimio complains about the appointment of Elders Member of Parliament Adam Kanan of Jubilee, saying he was elected under the wing of Azimio. Jubilee Secretary General Jeremiah Kioni now suggests that the issue of resignation of politicians who moved to different parties after the election should also be made a priority in the expected negotiations. According to Kioni, this politician should resign in order to go back and seek for a fresh mandate.
Any member who has crossed the floor must go back to the people and seek for fresh mandate from the people, so that he is allowed to talk and negotiate and represent the people while seated with Kenya Kwanza. If he is in Azimio, he has to remain in Azimio. We will not undertake any negotiations if that is not done.
His UDA counterpart Cleophas Malala has defended Kanan's nomination of Jubilee, saying there is no problem for leaders of various parties to be included in the negotiations.
Azimio wamelalamika kwamba tumemchagua mjumbe wa Jubilee. Tungependa kusema kwamba hii ndio maana kamati hiyo inaitwa bipartisan. Tungependa vyama vyote vikue katika mjadala huo. Hii sio mjadala ya ODM na UDA peke yake. Tungependa vyama vyote wa Kenya wote waingie pale ndani. Ndiposa tunaita bipartisan.
Elders MP Adam Kanan will be having a conversation with the Spice FM team this morning. That is the Situation Room, where he will be giving his position. Now, Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki has come out to explain why cases of banditry attacks are still being reported in the North Rift region, despite an ongoing multi-agency security operation to quell such incidents in the zone. Speaking when he appeared before Parliament, Kindiki told MPs that despite security agents managing to drive out numerous bandits from their hideouts, a small number have been able to hide in plain sight by masking their presence among civilians. The Interior CS added that the state has since made plans to increase the number of security personnel deployed in the North Rift, while adding that their placement will not cease with the end of the ongoing security operation. As a statement to his aforesaid statement, Kindiki revealed that his ministry has since approved an additional 200 police reservists who will begin operations in Baringo County after receiving appropriate training. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Alcedo. Good morning.
Actually, at 5 minutes after 7, the roads are not looking bad. Yes. If you think about it, if I'm looking at Thika Superhighway, the notorious Thika Superhighway, the traffic is only stretching as far as KCA University. coming into the CBD. You know, usually at this time, yesterday on Tuesday, it was stretching well beyond GSU and past the Outer Ring interchange. Now, Kiambu Road has stretched up to DCI headquarters, coming into the Muthaiga interchange, and then after that, it's all looking good. Mombasa Road is okay. Jogoo Road is not so bad. Now, the issues around Manyanja Road and Donholm Road, those are the ones where we need to talk about, because, for example, I'm looking at the road in Donholm. It's not looking good. It's already busy from inside Donholm. This is Savannah Road, and the other ones as you come in to meet with Outer Ring Road. And also, looking at Nyeri Road and the others, this is in industrial area, Lunga Road. It's also busy coming into Jogoo Road. As I look at Mombasa Road, no, North Airport Road at City Cabanas is also looking quite busy right now, getting towards the expressway and into Mombasa Road as well. Langata and Ngong Road, nothing to report.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Good morning and welcome to the second hour of The Situation Room this Thursday morning, 13th day of April 2023. Ndu Oko is away this week. It's Eric Latif and C.T. Muga. We are now live on KTN Home as well as being live on Spice FM and also being live on YouTube and Facebook. We are live streaming the show. Spice FM on YouTube, Spice FM on Facebook. Welcome, everybody. We have a guest joining us. We've just heard from the news. Dennis Aseto telling us about, Jubilee and the Jubilee Secretary General speaking, and then the UDA Secretary General speaking regarding the constitution of the 14-member committee. Each side of the coalition nominated 7 people to join this 14-member bipartisan committee. Among the people nominated by Kenya Kwanza is Adam Kanan, the Member of Parliament for Eldoret constituency. Interestingly, Adam Kanan was elected to Parliament on a Jubilee ticket. He is on the Kenya Kwanza side of the list of these people. And this is what the question is. So, has Adam defected to UDA? Has Jubilee allowed Adam to get into an agreement with Kenya Kwanza? Adam Kanan is our guest this morning. Mheshimiwa, good morning.
Good morning, viewers.
Karibu sana to Kenya's biggest conversation, the hot seat of the Situation Room.
Asante sana.
Just to get into the conversation, listen to today's proverb from CT. The proverb is from Mali.
The proverb is from Mali. If it is not a boy, it will be a girl, says the fortune teller.
Well, as long as you don't have a stillbirth, that is the obvious thing that you expect. It's common sense. It's common sense, yeah. It's common sense.
If it's not a boy, it's going to be a girl.
Yes.
So what do you think this proverb is saying? I mean, because this is so obvious that you wonder, how is this a proverb? What's the message here?
It's common sense. Of course, it does not take into account some of the new challenges on relating to
gender identities
and other things. It's an traditional. It's an obvious at the time when people did not have access to scientific oriented birth related issues. So at that time, that proverb was applicable. But I think today you can redefine it and give it more perspective in line with the new scientific.
If it's not a boy, ask it what it is.
You see, at the center of this proverb, there's a fortune teller. The fortune teller is supposed to be this, they call him soothsayers. An Abi, somebody who can see far into the future and tell you things which, ordinarily you wouldn't know. Now, when the soothsayer tells you something this obvious, then you have to ask, of what use is this soothsayer?
Why am I paying you?
Why? What do I need you for when you're telling me what I already know?
So do you think the proverb then is just mocking the soothsayer and the truth tellers?
Yes. There are people who give themselves positions in life that are larger than reality. And sooner rather than later, reality will come knocking and it will confound the very thing that you're saying. Yes.
Kujifanya unaweza tabiri na kuna kitu.
Yes.
You're just telling us, if it doesn't rain, if it doesn't rain today, it will rain this week.
This week, yes. Then if it doesn't rain this week, this month. So, okay.
What are you telling me?
What are you telling us, really?
Glorification of an obvious, scenario, isn't
Yes, yes. And this is supposed to be somebody who can see into the future.
Yes.
And they're telling you the obvious. So,
Mheshimiwa, before we get into the politics of the bipartisan talks, there's something that happened in Parliament yesterday, which, in the context of the 2010 Constitution, is historic. Professor Kithure Kindiki, a Cabinet Secretary for Interior, entered the floor of Parliament and answered questions from members of Parliament. And we were asking ourselves when we were looking at this, you've been in Parliament since when again?
97.
Since 1997, you've been in Parliament. You were there in the old Constitution, you were there in the new Constitution, you were there in the 11th and 12th Parliament, when we saw ministers only appearing before committees. Now here the 13th Parliament has brought them before the plenary. What's the difference?
I think one thing that I think Kenyans need to understand, a constitution is a document that is supposed to manage the aspirations and the day-to-day activities of the governed in an organized manner. It's not static. It's a very dynamic document that is supposed to reflect what we do in an organized manner. That's why I call it constitution. What happened is the current constitution actually is an amalgamation of the Westminster model and the American model. And there are certain things, those of us who are there then said 10% of this particular document was lethal, was very bad. But because of the rush and the manner in which the culmination of the passing of that particular document came about, we have realized since the promulgation of the August 2010 Constitution, there are certain things that have become almost very difficult, extremely difficult. Like in Parliament, we have had instances where chairs of committees were answering difficult questions on the floor of the House on behalf of the Kenyan people through their elected representatives. And yet we realized that members of Parliament were setting up themselves and they were not giving correct answers, first to the members and two, to the taxpayers. So even in the last Parliament, all of Parliament, there was an attempt to introduce this. But I think later on, it didn't work. So this is part of the domestication. And ultimately, this will lead to some sort of constitutional changes. So that we have, we sort out the bits that did not completely conform to either pure presidential system or the Westminster model, because there was that bit of confusion. So for me, what I see is part of the service delivery. We wanted to do it in the last Parliament. I think something, and even something happened that didn't allow that. So I think this is the best way, this is the best thing actually for members of Parliament first. Because you are a member of Parliament, you have been asked intricate and very difficult questions relating to security. Yet what you are given is maybe the fourth layer or the fifth layer. Security is very sensitive. Yet the members expect you to be fully conversant with that particular topic. And the mandarins in that particular domain don't want to entrust you with the whole thing. So you are in a mix, you are in a fix. You have to deliver, you are the chair. You do not have the full information that the members expect. The member, first of all, the owner of the question expects, or the entire Parliament expects, or the public expects. So it's because of this that I think that has given birth to this reality. In any case, the end goal is service delivery. And what Professor Kindiki did yesterday was a pace setter, was a very good approach. I saw the kind of questions. I was there the first time. And even, it was the first attempt. And even the second attempt will be very good. And I'm sure the Kenyan public will enjoy this.
But then, to what effect do actually, what is the expected result of having a minister answer those questions in a limited time span?
It's all over. It's consistent with the international trend. Whether we have a Westminster model or a presidential system, or whenever a non-parliamentarian or a parliamentarian who is
who has executive duties.
Who has executive duties assigned. That is the trend. It has to be assigned. It has to be assigned. There has to be a time limit. Otherwise, you'll end up being what is called filibustering. Filibustering in our contest. Kenyan constitution doesn't make sense. So I think the timing is proper. This is the first time. Maybe ultimately this will again lead to some more amendments to further domesticate what is intended actually to be achieved by having CSs coming to answer questions. But it's a relief for the members of parliament.
You see, what I'm asking is, with a committee, when a CS has been summoned by a committee, there's sufficient time for members of the committee and other members who may be invited or may come before the committee, other members of parliament, to ask questions and ask follow-up questions and ask for further reports, and the CS can say, I'll bring a further report next week or something like that.
That is still there.
So that is still happening.
Yes, so the CSs will still. There are questions. There are many, 2 different ways or 3 different ways of answering. One is a member can ask a question that requires a direct answer on the floor of the House. You can also have an investigative question referred to the committee where the minister or any other concerned public officer will answer through the committee, and the committee will generate a report that will come to the floor of the House. So it depends with the way the question is designed. So that approach is still there through the committees. This is just yes, it's still there. Yes, questions will be referred to the committees. The committees will prepare a report. If they want a clarification, the committee will call the minister at the committee level, and the committee will generate a report. Equally, if a member wants a direct answer from the CS, then you can do it on the floor of the House. So it depends what that particular member wants.
So what the question that we were asking ourselves earlier on in the morning was, okay, when all this has been done and you have a report and you've understood what was asked and what was responded to, then what?
I think you need to understand the workings of Parliament. Parliament works, first of all, through committees.
Yes.
Issues can be raised on the floor of the House.
Yes.
That requires response.
Yes.
The CSS can come direct to the floor. There is a special designated area. Respond to that question. A member can ask a committee, a question through the committee. That requires a bit of investigation. So the committee will interact, will call the relevant CS, get the answers, prepare a report, bring the report now to the House for debate. So it depends with what the member wants. Like what was asked yesterday were all security-related issues.
Yep.
Some of them were very urgent. And the minister did fairly well. And I think it was an experiment based. We'll see how the next CSS respond. And ultimately, by the end of this term of Parliament, or in between, there's going to be some sort of review. And that review, again, will culminate maybe whether we'll require to make further statutory amendments or even conform. Sometimes we have to be very creative and even expand our horizon of thinking. Because for our people, for the Kenyan public actually to get value for their money, we must also be very creative. This governance requires creativity.
Yeah. I'm just wondering whether it's theatre. If you look back into your first time in Parliament in 97 or in 202 or in 207, if you look at those 3 parliaments, ministers used to come from Parliament and then there'd be question time. And a member time for question time, Speaker says, Member for Elders, Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask question number XXX on the order paper. Minister stands up and says, Mr. Speaker, I rise to respond. Mr. Speaker, and they read the answer that you asked. You either follow up with a question or 2. Did you actually get value from that?
You see, now you're questioning the whole essence of having a representative parliament. At that time, we had the old constitution. Our old constitution actually was a product of the British Westminster model, where ministers used to be members of parliament. But right now, we have ministers are not members of parliament. And yet the same services are required. These are some of the teething problems of the current constitution that ultimately we must sit and reflect on as Kenyans and say, what do we need to do in order to bridge the gap? But for me, as long as we have representative democracy, responses to parliamentary questions by members of the executive, whether they're in parliament or outside parliament, will be a reality. So this is something that we have to think about. Let's see how it goes. And I hope by the end of this term, we'll have settled for really what we want as far as that question is concerned. You remember some people are proposing even a mixed model where we have members of parliament doubling as CS, but it's not provided for in the current constitution.
Yeah.
So let's see. It's not cast in stone. It's something that at the end of this time we'll be in a position to say, did it add value? Did it lessen the burden on the taxpayers? Did it contribute to the efficiency in which, in the way members of parliament actually handle parliamentary issues? So there'll be a lot of questions that will be answered at the end of this trial period. And the first thing that I can say is a relief for members of parliament, because as an individual, I wasn't very comfortable having members of parliament actually answering questions on behalf of the executive. Yes, it wasn't a very good idea. But again, we had no other option.
It was the only way.
It was the only way.
Okay. Let's move into now the conversation about bipartisanship, all right? So in those parliaments that you sat in, initially we had government and opposition in parliament. Now we have majority and minority in parliament. None of the majority, minority, it doesn't mean government and opposition. Minority here could be the person, the executive could have the minority in parliament. But now, in those times, you sat in the IPPG of 1997 that looked at, the next election, how to manage our elections. You have been through the journey of constitution on the constitution making, where, again, members of parliament created a committee that was bipartisan, so to speak, to midwife the birth of a new constitution with a committee of experts, and then the report of the committee of experts that gave us the draft constitution and all. Now we are again having a conversation about bipartisanship. Explain this bipartisan approach in parliament.
Thank you so much. First, again, we need to appreciate the dynamics of our politics. Once you understand the dynamics of the Kenyan politics and how it has worked since the formation of the nation state of the Republic of Kenya, then you'll appreciate what is happening. Basically, we have a presidential system right now, meaning the executive is not in parliament. That is the essence of the current constitution. That's why we have a majority and a minority. And it's true that you could end up having, you could see a scenario where there's a president who doesn't enjoy an absolute parliamentary majority.
Yep.
It hasn't happened yet in Kenya. But it happens once in a while. That's why there's room for coalition making. That's why there's room for alliance building. That's why there's room for cooperation and many other things.
It could have happened this time.
It
could have happened this time had the numbers not...
Yes, it depends now. Yes. The Kenyan public, the decision, ultimately the decision makers are the Kenyan public.
Yep.
So it didn't happen this time. It didn't happen 2017. It didn't happen 2013. So, but it's something that could happen. So the bipartisanship is the English meaning of that is a cross-cutting issue that requires some sort of unanimity.
Yeah.
Without any, party-affiliated issues taking the center stage. So right now, because of where we are, because of the evolving nature of our politics, the leadership, His Excellency President William Ruto, and the leadership of Azimio, at certain stage, because of what has been happening, made a decision to have a parliamentary-centered, a parliamentary-oriented, and parliamentary-placed process that will lead to, in addressing some of the issues that the Kenyan public actually has been raising. So we are in the initial stage. But the reality is every member of parliament, the 349, the 350, the 400, the 67, enjoys an inherent constitutional right as a member of parliament, either nominated or directly elected, to do all that appertains to representation, oversight, legislation, budget making, parliamentary diplomacy, and even engaging in bipartisan issues that will add value to the taxpayers. And I believe this is the essence of what is being canvassed right now. It's at the initial stage. It's not the first time. So we'll see how it evolves. And you see that's why now parties, whether in coalition or in different formations, make a decision on what to do either collectively or members of parliament sometimes make an individual decision, because at the end of the day, you took an oath to represent your people in parliament. So that is the essence of our democracy. And it happens. Like right now, if you go to America, the Democrats lost a senator. Just because, this, of course, in their context, it's outrightly in the constitution. You could change positions, and this is, and just say, look, I don't agree with this and this. I'll take a center stage. I will vote with my conscience. Though it's not written in our context, also the same applies, because nobody will vote. Will force you to vote in any particular manner, whether your party wants or not. But there is an agreement to whip, to say this is good for my coalition, this is good for my group, and this. So you can only be persuaded. Otherwise, ultimately, every member makes an individual decision based on what you think is good for the country, what you think is good for your conscience, what you think is consistent with your conscience as an individual.
You know, you are now a member of the 13th Parliament. The 12th Parliament that you remember well, you've been a member of Parliament for the last 6 parliaments. But the one accusation that has been leveled against parliamentarians, you talk about, let me start with the 10th, 11th, 12th. In fact, let me just talk about parliamentarians generally, is that the very thing you mentioned about the individual choices and the individual positions that someone takes as a matter of conscience. It's been argued that that doesn't exist in our parliament, that what one sees is a herd mentality. People sort of like gang up and decide this is the direction they want to take. Would you say that that is a fair accusation?
Again, we need to understand the traditions of generally parliaments, whether in developed countries or developing countries or third world countries. You see, once you are in parliament, there are certain things that constitute you being a member of that particular parliament. You can be in a party, you can be independent, you can be in a coalition, but there's always room, the right for that particular member of parliament to vote
independently.
That's why you're allowed to absent yourself, you're allowed to oppose, you're allowed to support, but there's respect for the group decision, because that's why you're aligned. But if you realize the group decision is not consistent with the national interest, is not consistent with your conscience interest, is against your conscience, you have every right, inherent constitutional right, to oppose, even if you will be alone. And so it's that scenario that you have mentioned is not something unique to Kenya. Go all over the world. That is the tenet of democracy. You agree, you disagree, and then that's why people now allow lobbyism. You know, you are lobbied, you have groupings, you are persuaded, you are briefed. This is what I want to do. That is why you see once in a while parties have PGs. If the voting was automatic, why will you call for a PG? The PG is to educate you, to persuade you that this is what we intend to do. Can we agree?
And this is why it's important for us to take this position.
That's why today, if any of the groupings will want to have certain things done in a particular way, you don't just bring it to the floor of the House. You call your group and say, look, this is what I intend to propose. Can you amend? Can you delete? Can you support this? That is the essence, and that's exactly what we are talking about. Otherwise, it's not just an automatic thing for party owners or party leaders just to dictate and say, members of parliament, I have decided, go and do this. Like what my friend the Kioni was just alluding to. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work. Like, no way to work like that. You don't just go to the village, carry something and say, I've given instructions to every member of parliament will decide what they want to do. It doesn't work like that.
You see, I can understand that from the context of voting. You know, when you're making that decision on a certain motion or bill or decision that needs to be made by parliament. But now, when it comes to formation of, let's say, a bipartisan committee, now we have seen the way that this one has gone. Azimio, together as a coalition of the various political parties, sat down and they picked 7. Kenya Kwanza, together as a coalition of political parties in the Kenya Kwanza coalition or the pre or post-election agreements sat down and they picked on the 7. Now, the cross-cutting issue, that's where now we want to discuss this and we want to understand. You are a member of Azimio, which is in by being a member of Jubilee. But now you attended a parliamentary group meeting. Did you attend that meeting of Kenya Kwanza?
Continue your question.
You attended a Kenya Kwanza group meeting. Kenya Kwanza names you as one of the members in their list of 7. So what was the thinking of Kenya Kwanza by naming you? Had they called you before? Had they persuaded you, no, you come and be one of us? Is it because you are affiliating with them? Is it because you are now working with Kenya Kwanza and not working with Jubilee?
Or remember, there's this matter of conscience. Or did you look at what was going on and you used your independent thought and decided, no, actually, for this particular matter here, this one, I think
I want to negotiate, but I want to be.
I'm better off negotiating if I'm sitting on this side.
I think that's a good question. Let me say this first. And I will say this authoritatively, without fear, without favor, on behalf of Jubilee. Jubilee once upon a time was the ruling party with an absolute majority in parliament, with an absolute majority in the Council of Governors, with an absolute majority in county assemblies. That is history. I do not want to delve very much on the circumstances that contributed to that. Theoretically, we are in a coalition. Personally, I'm yet to see the coalition agreement. But I can tell you, we as Jubilee, members of parliament, suffered. We lost everything. Everything that we have had, or everything that we were entitled to. Jubilee is the 3rd largest party in the 13th parliament. We have UDA, we have ODM, and Jubilee is the 3rd largest party. Everything that we were entitled to, in the name of coalition, we have lost.
What's that?
I'll tell you what we have lost. The committee membership, the committee chairs, the Parliamentary Service Commission, the minority whip that. Let me enumerate this. The Azimio grouping has mistreated the membership of Jubilee in a manner that is totally inhuman, in a manner that's unacceptable, in a manner that does not befit the status of elected members of parliament. And I'll give you this. Under that coalition, there's supposed to be some sort of understanding on what each member of that particular coalition is entitled to. We have ODM, we have WIBA, we have Jubilee. And all parliamentary positions that were the preserve of Jubilee have been taken over by ODM. I'll explain. The first was the Parliamentary Service Commission. We have had 3 slots. We gave our slot to Honorable John Waluke, and you even saw Kioni going to see him in prison. How did we lose? Where did that position go? That position ultimately, ODM, through their tricks mechanism, took that position, and the poor Waluke was duped. We lost. Few weeks ago, Fatuma Dulo, who was the minority whip, was duped. Like exactly what happened to Wetangula, Speaker Wetangula, Dr. Wetangula, on 20th March
It was noisy and messy.
Yes. Fatuma Dulo was duped. Who took over the position? A member of ODM. I'm aware that in the process of the whipping, the Honorable Sabina Chege. And look at even the structure. I am the father of parliament, the 13th parliament, the longest serving member of parliament. In our midst, we have a first-timer chairing a committee within the Azimio group. It doesn't happen in parliamentary democracy.
And yet you don't have any leadership.
You want to tell me that's a relationship that I should support consciously? That I should, a relationship that we should say we belong to this? If anything, and I think somebody somewhere was on a revenge mission. Somebody somewhere was a revenge mission against Jubilee. So me, I want to take this opportunity to thank the leadership of Kenya Kwanza, led by His Excellency, the President, and the Deputy President, and the entire parliamentary leadership, for realizing that Jubilee is a major stakeholder in the 13th Parliament. And the slot, this is consistent. They realized, where is Jubilee? We are talking about bipartisanship. Look at the members who are nominated, the 7th from Azimio. Can you name? These are members, very respectable members. But look at the 7. Where do they belong to? Do you see any from, just mention their names. Do you see any from Jubilee? Is Jubilee not a parliamentary party? And I've just told you it's the 3rd largest party in the 13th parliament. So what happened? So the leadership of Kenya Kwanza realized there's a problem and donated a slot of theirs. And we thank them very sincerely to say this should go to. So if we have to realize the dream of having a bipartisan approach, they said we will donate this particular slot of theirs. They made
to
a
the 3rd largest political party.
To a 3rd largest political that has been sidelined by the very group
that they belong to.
Let's
take a break on that note. When we come back, I'll read the names of the Azimio side, I'll read the names of the Kenya Kwanza side, and then we'll continue the conversation. The Honorable Adam Kanan, as he says, is the father of Parliament. He's currently one of the longest-serving members in the 13th Parliament, having joined in 2007. He's a member of Parliament... 97, sorry, yes. He's a member of Parliament for Eldoret constituency. He is now one of the 7 members who've been nominated by the Kenya Kwanza coalition to join the 14-member bipartisan dialogue committee. We want to understand why. Have you subscribed to Showmax, showmax.com? If you haven't, please do, because you'll be able to see the second family on Showmax featuring the Gatehi and the Langard families and getting to understand what the drama is all about. We've been telling you more about this. 23 to 8.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Cloudy conditions in Nairobi. Current temperatures at 16. Mombasa is a sunny morning at 26. Malindi also sunny at 27. Kisumu sunny at 20. Nakuru sunny at 15. Nyeri sunny as well at 15. The Eldoret sunny at 15. Kakamega sunny at 16. Kampala mostly cloudy morning at 26. Johannesburg cloudy at 13. Dar es Salaam sunny at 25. Kinshasa cloudy at 24, Lagos mostly clear at 27, New York mostly clear with the special weather statement being released on what to watch out for. Current temperatures 20, London mostly cloudy morning at 7, and there's a thunderstorms warning in Paris, current temperature 7. Usual notorious roads doing the usual notorious thing this morning. The traffic now stretches up to GSU on the Thika Superhighway coming towards town. From in Kiambu, it goes all the way into Muthaiga North Road. That's where it starts, coming towards the Muthaiga Junction. And then after that into Pangani. And then after the Pangani Tunnel, it clears. Moranga Road is clear. Wangari Maathai Road is clear. Globe Cinema Roundabout is building up. Jogoo Road is busy. The roads into the other Monyanja Road getting into Jogoo Road is also busy. We were talking about earlier. This is a... Let me zoom into this road. Yeah, it's also quite busy. And this is Savannah Road. Very, very busy as well this morning. Lunga Road busy. All of them joining into Jogoo Road. Outer Ring Road, as you get to that junction with North Airport Road, crazy. It goes all the way to the City Cabanas interchange into Changombe, and as you turn back into the highway. But then once you get into the highway is moving. So just be patient. When you get to the highway, it'll be moving. Langata Road, nothing to report. Aerodrome Road, nothing to report. Ngong Road as well, nothing to report.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4.
MP for Elders constituency, elected on a Jubilee ticket. And actually, let me just say that now correctly. Okay? The most experienced member in the 13th Parliament. Having served how many terms? 6, 7? Since 1997. Okay. So we're talking about the composition of this bipartisan team. And you've told us you feel that Jubilee has basically been mistreated by the Azimio coalition. But the Jubilee leadership has not said anything about this. Why? In terms of the national leaders of Jubilee, the Jubilee party leader has not said anything about this. The Jubilee Secretary General, you've just heard him on the news, he's not been complaining about this.
Let me say this. I am the Jubilee Coalition Parliamentary Group Secretary. So anything appertaining to Parliament, I'm the right person to speak about. And this is why I'm talking about the same. Kioni doesn't understand what is Kioni is and you remember now that we have, even the party general has a problem right now which we are trying to sort out. I don't want to delve very much in that. But what I can say is we are happy with the slot that has been donated to us by the leadership of Kenya Kwanza. I've just alluded to. And therefore, our role, assume that we don't exist. Somebody else has realized that we are a critical component, major stakeholder in the 13th Parliament, and therefore our role in the bipartisanship committee will be critical. To that extent, we say thank you to the leadership of Kenya Kwanza, led by the President and his deputy, and the entire leadership of Parliament, both the Senate and National Assembly. And we ask our colleagues in Azimio, for how long will one rely on deceitful, creative imaginations that has been the hallmark of their political career, which honestly, if you look at this, look at what has happened to all the past. That's why I was mentioning to what happened to the Right Honorable Speaker, Dr. Moses Wetangula, on 20th March 2018. He was the leader of the minority in the Senate. Yes, he was ejected unceremoniously. Look at what happened to Kingi. Look at what happened to Mudavadi. Look at what happened to everybody. So what we are going through right now is consistent with what happened to many other Kenyans. And for us, we will not take lightly. We will not sleep. We will not allow them actually to step on us. We will insist on occupying our rightful place in the 13th Parliament and within the Kenyan public. That is why, proudly, we will work with the government of the day. Whoever doesn't feel comfortable, then that is your business. We have no apologies to make. Jubilee Parliamentary Caucus has made a deliberate decision to work with the government of the day. We're still members of Azimio, but we have a problem. We have made a pronouncement that there's a problem in Azimio, and we'll sort it out legally. There's a legal mechanism, which we'll sort out very soon. But for now, because they have failed to appreciate our existence, they have failed to give us what we are entitled to. They have subjected our membership. And I've said this, what has happened to Honorable Waluke? We lost our PSC. Where is the fairness? They went to Honorable Waluke in jail, gave him a letter of nominations, and behind the scene, they nominated their own person. Where is that coalition? Where does that leave that particular member and Jubilee by extension? They did the same to Honorable Fatuma Dulo, a great lady, among the few women senators actually in the Republic of Kenya, a lawyer, a highly experienced person. Just whipped her just like that. Her position taken by ODM. Right now, they are proposing to have Sabina Chege removed, and we will resist. And I want Sabina to appreciate wherever she is. We will resist. We will not allow Sabina Chege to be booted out the way they have done to this. In Parliament, fortunately, in the National Assembly, the standing orders are slightly different. We will resist. That position belongs to Jubilee. That position belongs to Jubilee. And Jubilee has donated that position to the Honorable Sabina Chege. So whatever creative imagination that they have there is theirs. So Sabina Chege, wherever theirs, we will meet on the floor of the House and we will oppose whatever intention that they have to remove the Honorable Sabina Chege. On these other things, I have alluded to this. Jubilee has been mistreated. The only thing remains right now, shall we be silent and wait to be mistreated further?
Why would you be silent and let their structures? Have you raised this within the structures of Azimio?
The structures have failed to address because...
Have you raised it
absolutely, at the highest level.
What's that level?
Consistent lies.
What's that level? What have you actually
raised?
At
the highest level. I do not want to mention names.
The highest level is the council.
We have raised at every level that what Jubilee is being subjected to was not fair, was not consistent with even what we had said we'll do as a group. And therefore, we have made a conscious decision that will not be bound by what they think. And I can tell you, majority of Jubilee members are not even invited to that purported PG in Stone Abbey.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Mheshimiwa?
Yes.
If there's that level of disgruntlement in Jubilee, why doesn't Jubilee just leave Azimio?
That's why I say it's a process. We have made a pronouncement. It's a process. We are in the process. We are still in Azimio. We are in the process. We'll invoke our post-election rights and at an opportune time, completely exit Azimio because I personally don't see any benefit. Yes, and I'm sure majority of our members also don't see any benefit with being a member of the Azimio caucus right now. Yes.
Mheshimiwa, I want to ask this on behalf of the many. I'm sure you'll tell me that
you are to go through the list of the 7 members from Azimio so that you know the unfairness.
Let me give you the list.
Yes.
1, Ledama Olekina.
Which
Senator
party?
Narok.
Which party?
ODM.
ODM.
Edwin Sifuna.
Which party?
ODM.
Yes.
Eno Kwambua.
Wiper.
Amina Mnyanzi.
Which party? ODM.
Malindi MP.
ODM.
Millie Odhiambo.
Which party? ODM.
Otiende Amolo.
Which party? ODM.
David Kosing.
David Kosing, interestingly, that's a very interested member also of that committee. The party. You know his party?
What's his party?
Kenya Union Party has just signed a post-election agreement with Kenya Kwanza.
Kenya Union Party is the one by the former governor. Of West Pokot.
Yes, of West Pokot.
Professor
So even my friend Posing is also a donation by Azimio to a member of a different formation. And that member is there by right. So I'm not the only one. So that position was also donated to that party of the former governor, West Pokot. So you need to understand, of course, many people don't know that they have entered a post-election.
So like you've said, so of the 7 members, 5 of them are
5
ODM.
of them. So where is Jubilee? Ask yourself, where is Jubilee in that? Even if they felt that they were the majority, where is Jubilee? The 3rd largest party, listen from the 7 membership committee, and yet you want to tell us that we are foolish enough not to make a pronouncement on our rights.
So
that is the question that whoever came up with that list should have said they have a coalition. A coalition comprising of 3 major parties. First party, ODM. Second party, Jubilee. Third party, Wiper, in terms of their strength.
Yeah.
One party takes almost 80%. Donates one to Wiper and the other one to a member of KK, Kenya Kwanza. And yet you want me to sit down somewhere as an experienced legislator, somebody who has gone to school, and clap for you? I will not.
Mheshimiwa, I want to ask you another question. You were a member of ODM up to 2017. The ODM you speak of now, is it a different ODM from the one you're a member of?
I was a member for 5 years, between 2013 and 2017. And this exactly, I thought they have learned. You know, sometimes you need to learn from your mistakes. It is the same thing. What I'm surprised with is how the Honorable Oluke was treated. A person who was already going through serious challenges. You give him a nomination, you visit him in prison, you make a pronouncement, and on the hand, behind the scene, you give the same slot to your own member. Where is the common sense?
Was Oluke a member of ODM?
He's a member of Jubilee. That slot was rightfully ours. At that time, he had a challenge. You all know this.
We do.
And we as a party, we said, these slots will go to Oluke. I was there. I've had my time. We just said, let's give it to Oluke. And they went ahead, presented nomination in prison. But behind the scene, they had their own candidates. And that is exactly the trademark of certain characters within that establishment, within that group.
Now my question. On behalf of the very many members, I said you're going to tell me there are millions of members of the Jubilee Party. Okay? When they watch you as leaders and they can see all these things. And now today, you're telling the membership of Jubilee that we are being mistreated by our coalition partners in Parliament in the way in which slots are being given, in the way in which we're being given priority. How have you addressed this as leaders within the coalition and within the political party? Let's start with, have you raised this within the structures of Jubilee?
Yes, that is why we have disagreement. A small group feel, the majority of the Jubilee leadership feel that the way the party members have been treated is not fair. That is why we have raised it, and we have certain caucus, but there are few. Because of personal interest, because of other considerations, who feel that they do not need to raise this. Because if you are there...
What's the highest decision-making organ of Jubilee?
NEC.
The National Executive Council.
Yes.
And it comprises?
Of there are different officials, representative of parliament, representative of governors, representative of county assembly caucus.
Yeah.
Yes.
Has this matter been formally?
Absolutely. That's why the other day we made
NEC?
that's why we made a pronouncement and even made a certain attempts actually to cause certain changes. It's a court issue. I don't want to delve into that, so that I'm not accused of subjudy. Let me leave it there. I'm sure the courts will adjudicate. That's why the majority made a pronouncement. The minority went to court. So let's leave it to the court.
So the matter has been dealt with at NEC.
Yes,
it's subject
we made
to
a
courts.
pronouncement actually.
Okay.
And including causing certain changes within the leadership of the party. But somebody went to court. Let's leave it to the court actually to make a determination.
Okay.
Yes.
In the matter of now Azimio as a coalition, if any party felt disgruntled, what are the redress mechanisms?
You give notice, and then, like I told you, this particular coalition document, nobody knows even the content. Even me as a parliamentary group leader, I'm yet to internalize. But again...
Does the document exist?
We don't know whether even it exists. I'm yet to see. Personally, I'm yet to see. But we will follow the law.
So how then does the coalition function? How does it go about its affairs?
That is why everything has failed. You know it. That's why everything has failed. And take this. Between 2017 and 2022, let me say this. The Jubilee was a movement. Jubilee Party was a movement with absolute majority in Parliament, with the support of the majority of Kenyans. That has dwindled. Today we have one governor. At that particular time, we had almost 2/3 of members of Parliament. Today we have 34. What has happened? Meaning the majority of Kenyans who supported Jubilee did not agree with the decision that we made in 2022. It's the reality. They did not agree with the decision that we made to take certain political route. So right now, we have to retrace our footsteps and reconnect with the former Jubilee members and say, look, this is where maybe we may have made mistakes. Can we reconcile? And we are in the process of reconciling with the Kenyan public so that Jubilee takes its rightful place. Jubilee applies what is good for the ordinary people. And we reclaim our Jubilee heritage. And that is why today, proudly, I can say that if we have made a mistake, we'll be asking for an apology. We'll be asking for forgiveness for the Kenyan public at an opportune time. For now, let's see how the court issue ends. For now, we will participate as a fully fledged party, properly represented in Parliament, in the bipartisan group, without the permission of our Azimio brothers and sisters. They have nominated their team. We wish them well. We will meet. Ours is to work for the well-being of the people of Kenya. So anything that will bring the Kenyan people together is our job. So I want to tell them, it's not about the membership. It's not about who is nominated. It's about what we are going to discuss and how that will contribute to
the welfare of the citizens.
Not only the welfare, but the realization of our national interest. Because there are certain things that we can't disagree on. The national interest is everybody's interest. The national interest is the very existence, actually, of the Republic of Kenya. And therefore, when that comes, the issue of parties actually are relegated to the back door.
Mheshimiwa, in the time you've been a member of Parliament, this matter that we're now discussing, have you witnessed it before?
Yes, it has happened all over. At one time, the late Anyona was the one-man party, was the chair. We have literally, in every parliament, we have had some sort of caucus. The most significant was when Anyona was there, the late Anyona was there. We have had the one of Paul Mute and other groups. We have had the one of Kreitu Murunge and James Orengo. This is a parliamentary it's a parliamentary activity. The only thing right now we are objecting to, and we'll object to it at every level, is the exclusion of Jubilee in the decision-making organs of the 13th Parliament. That will not be allowed. That will not be tolerated. And those who think about it, they will have to rethink. We have the right to representation in every parliamentary activity as the third largest party. And this is one thing that we are telling our Azimio brothers. They need to apologize to us. They need to apologize to the members of parliament, the 13th Parliament, from the Jubilee family. They need to apologize to the Jubilee fraternity for the mistreatment and the way they have handled us. But for us, we have moved on. We are now working with the government of the day. We'll make a pronouncement. Yes, legally we are in Azimio.
But consciously, on
Not
the floor of
legally
the
we're in
House.
Azimio, but we have made a pronouncement that this marriage is not working. If they can make it work by being truthful, then we will see. But for now, it's not working.
You'll be sleeping in
If
the
it's
other
not
bedroom.
working, why will we be in a very abusive marriage where every morning somebody tells you don't exist? I don't recognize you as Latif. Who is this? Everybody when you meet, you say, are you John? That person just doesn't want to appreciate that you are Latif and you exist and you are and you are a human being. That is exactly what we have been subjected to. And just realize, I have given you this 7 members, 5 from one party, the exclusion of Jubilee, and you want me to sit in parliament and profess and say, I clap for you and I will support that particular group? I'll be the most foolish person actually on earth if we were to do that. And I don't think whether there's any member of Jubilee who would be willing to do that.
So I see you and the Honorable Sabina Chege and the other members of Jubilee in that parliament leaning more towards the Kenya Kwanza side. Even when it comes to voting, you'd be easier to listen to the whip of Kenya Kwanza than to the whip of Azimio.
No, we will listen to common sense. We will listen to our conscience. We will listen to the dictates of our electorate, and we will listen to our party interest. If all that is consistent with the policies of Kenya Kwanza, we have no problem. We will stand up and say, this is where we think our decision belongs to. This is where we think we support. And that's exactly what we are doing right now. If our friends on the other hand bring something that will add value to the national well-being, we'll be there to support them.
You know, what I hear you say, I'm willing to believe of you as Adam Kanan, because the people you represent, for the time you've been in parliament, but I've seen something. People don't get elected 6 times simply because they exist. There must be something positive about them. But speaking of other parliamentarians, would I be wrong if I said that sometimes these arrangements, these coalitions that we have, are not based on truth but more of convenience, and that at times the convenience that allows you to get into these associations now either fail to serve the purpose for which they were intended, or they work against you?
I'm sure what is the latest definition of politics? The art of the possible. And you can magnify that, the art of the possible. The art of the possible meaning, first, that art of possible must be anchored on certain particular truth, the law. The law and the national interest and your conscience. That's why politics is so dynamic, everywhere. In America, in the UK, in Israel, everywhere politics is so dynamic. That being the case, you must be conscious of what the taxpayers want. You must also be conscious of the realities of the time. That is why today, there are people who are still going around who don't believe that William Ruto is the president of Kenya. You will only exist in a state of hallucination. William Ruto is the 5th president of the Republic of Kenya, taken an oath of office, and you'll have just to wait for another time. If you don't believe in that, then you are a bad person. Because elections come and go. That reality must dawn on you right now. It's like, you can have dreams, but even dreams have certain
Even dreams come to an end.
Come to an end.
Morning will come.
Morning will come. So the reality is, we attempted to have a presidential. We lost. William Ruto is the 5th president of the Republic of Kenya, and that reality must dawn on anybody who doesn't believe in this. That's why today we are saying you must also accept that there is Jubilee with 34 members. If you don't accept that reality, and you expect me to clap for you whatever stupid decision or unreasonable decision that we make, honestly, I'll be the most foolish person if I were to do that, and we will not. I will not do personally, and I'm sure my colleagues in Jubilee Fraternity will not also do. So for now, allow us a space. You have mistreated us. We are giving you notice. We need an apology. Repent, not only to us, but to many other leaders whom you have mistreated. And all of them right now, you know, God is very fair. Let me say this, God is very fair. Wetangula was booted. That was the making of the new Wetangula now, who is the Speaker of the National Assembly of 13th Parliament. Mudavadi was booted. He is now the chief. King was booted. He is now the Speaker. Aaron Diallo was booted. He is now the CS Defense. William Ruto was booted. He is now, as the Minister for Agriculture, he is now the 5th President of the Republic of Kenya. Who knows? Fatuma Dula has just been removed. Fatuma Dula will be something great. Something great is
we'll
in the
see
offing.
her.
Yes,
Mheshimiwa.
Sabina is the same. And so we are not worried because God is fair. Mistreat people, God will revenge on you. Be fair to people, God will be fair to you. This is why my message today is, please, for the sake of God, for those of us who are in that Azimio group, be fair to yourself, apply your conscience, stop misleading people, stop lying to yourself. Reflect and do what God loves most is fairness. Reflect on what our constituents actually appreciates and expect, that fairness and the right to everybody on whatever that you do. And that's what has been missing in that particular grouping.
Kwisha. Adam Kanan, Member of Parliament for Eldoret constituency. He says he's the father of Parliament. He's the most experienced member of the 13th Parliament. He's been our guest this morning. Good morning, 8 a.m. Time for the news.
In the 13th Parliament, and therefore our role in the bipartisanship committee will be critical. To that extent, we say thank you to the leadership of Kenya Kwanza, led by the President and his deputy, and the entire leadership of Parliament, both the Senate and National Assembly. And we ask our colleagues in Azimio, for how long will one rely on deceitful, creative imaginations that has been the hallmark of their political career?
The Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki came out to explain why cases of banditry attacks are still being reported in the North Rift region despite an ongoing multi-agency security operation to quell such incidents in the zone. Speaking when he appeared before Parliament, Kindiki told MPs that despite security agents managing to drive out numerous bandits from their hideouts, a small number have been able to hide in plain sight by masking their presence among civilians. The Interior CS added that the state has since made plans to increase the number of security personnel deployed in the North Rift, while adding that their placement will not cease with the end of the ongoing security operation.
What this administration has done is to revive the police equipment modernization program, and for the next 3 years, the government of Kenya will spend 20 billion shillings to ensure that we modernize our equipment. I am happy to return here, if the House requires so, in 3 months, because by that time, in 3 months from now, I expect to have revived the police air wing, which is completely dead. I intend to have acquired at least 3 gunship helicopters for the National Police Service.
Now, the government has announced plans to restructure and merge non-performing state corporations, which is raising fears of job losses among civil servants. According to the Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, out of the 349 state enterprises, only 5% were remitting revenue. He said that majority of government enterprises relying on funding from the state, a move he termed as unacceptable. Addressing the press, Mudavadi promised radical changes, adding that they would be done professionally and systematically. And Trade and Investment Cabinet Secretary Moses Kuria says the government will adopt an open policy while dealing with investors and will not measure engagement based on their conduct. Speaking during an interview, Kuria said that the country is looking for investments to spur economic growth to combat the financial crisis facing the country. The CS says it will accept all investors irrespective of their CV, adding that the job is to promote investment in Kenya. In Nakuru County, Deputy Governor David Kones has urged youths and women to be at the forefront of forest cover restoration in the county to achieve 75,000 hectares cover by 2030 from the 68,000 hectares currently. Speaking during the launch of the Terra Fund for Afri 100 landscapes, the Deputy Governor also encouraged community groups to apply for the available funds to assist them in restoration drive. The program by World Resource Institute aims to deploy over $12 million in funding to restore the estimated 25,000 hectares, grow 16.3 million trees, and create close to 12,000 million jobs. This program will cover 3 landscapes across Kenya's Greater Rift Valley, the Lake Kivu and Rusizi River Basin in Rwanda, Burundi, and the Democratic Republic of Congo and Ghana Cocoa Belt. This is News. I'm Dennis Asada. Good morning.
Okay, Aerodrome Road, Lusaka Road at Nyayo Stadium and the Nyayo Stadium roundabout, Bunyala Road heading towards town, Landis Road all the way from City Stadium into Haile Selassie at Marikiti, Hey, it's all looking like that. We are at peak traffic time. Now, can I tell you about Thika Superhighway? It's actually not as way as we would say, because it just starts at Mathare Road, beyond Mathare North Road, coming towards the usual spot. Kiambu Road, however, this morning is busy. Kiambu Road this morning is just a busy one, as well as the Outer Ring Road towards the end as it joins North Airport Road. That entire thing of how Outer Ring Road joins North Airport Road, it's just crazy. And then it stretches all the way up to the junction again at Changombe on how you turn back to join Mombasa Road. That as well does not have some good thought put into it. It's just a silly U-turn, and it's bringing a lot of traffic into a major highway. It's just crazy. So people on North Airport Road this morning, and also stretching all the way into Embakasi and Outer Ring, poleni sana.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your
Kenya's
day.
Biggest conversation at 8 minutes after 8. Good morning and welcome to the third hour. It's Thursday, the 13th day of April, 2023. What do you make of what Adam Kanan has said, CT?
You know, if I listen to what Adam Kanan was saying, I heard frustration. I heard disappointment. And I heard an element of despondency. And I kept asking myself, what really is this about? Because he's a seasoned politician.
Yeah.
He's seen anything that one needs to see in politics, he has seen. So, yes, Jubilee may feel, or members of Jubilee, or certain members of Jubilee may feel that they have been mistreated. But is that the whole story? I don't think so. No. Because whenever there's political strife, in my mind, there are three ingredients that feature, okay? One, it's broken promises, contention about money, contention about sharing power. So now, it's a question of which one are we seeing at play here? Because for people to get into a coalition, certain understandings are arrived at. And people believe that those decisions have to be honored. Somewhere along the line, somebody seems to have gotten the short end of the stick, and they're not happy about it. And this is them sending a message that they are not happy. Yes, so
they're unhappy about
they're
something.
unhappy. Yes, this is not an SMS. This is a full-blown message.
Sent a messenger in person.
In person. We are not happy about this. Yes. But then, if I look at the intrigues of politics and the backstabbing nature of the manner in which politicians function, this is nothing new. It is an environment that politicians have nurtured and curated, and it's the environment they live in. So when these things happen, you can only say you are part and parcel of the people who created this environment, and you're now living in it. So if it comes back to bite you, your creation has bitten you.
You're basically saying you made your bed.
You made your bed. That's precisely what I'm saying.
Okay. We are joined by another member of parliament. Now, he is the MP for Runyenjes constituency, the Honorable Mushangi Karemba. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Thank you very much.
In the hot seat of the Situation Room.
Thank you very much.
You know, it's Karemba and you're wearing a Karemba.
Yes.
Karibu sana Mheshimiwa Mushangi.
Asante sana.
You're a member of parliament for Runyenjes.
Yes.
Runyenjes is in, is it in Tharaka Nithi?
In Embu County.
It's in Embu County, Runyenjes.
Yes.
It's in Embu County. You know, there's like a distance there.
Yeah, but it's not. Look, bro, I mean, surely
Embu,
there's even a
Runyenjes.
big sign telling you've entered Runyenjes. You know, it's not. You just can't
You
pass
entered
it.
where?
Yes.
You entered,
Runyenjes.
yes.
Yes.
So does it tell you you're in Embu? That sign?
No. You ought to know you're in Embu.
Before you get to Runyenjes, you get to Embu.
Yes.
Yes.
You're hapo. Haya. Karibu sana Mheshimiwa.
Thank you
You're
very
also a chair of the Labour Committee
Yes.
of the National Assembly.
Yes, I am.
This is not your first rodeo in Parliament.
Yeah.
You were in the 12th Parliament as well.
Yes.
Huh?
Absolutely.
Still elected by the people of Runyenjes.
Yes.
Under which party then?
I was elected first under the Jubilee Party.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was re-elected under the UDA Party. Yes.
Okay.
But by the same margin of 82%.
82%?
Yes, in 2017 and another 82% in 2022.
How many competitors did you have in 2022?
I had 5.
And you gave them, they were given a combined 18%.
Yes.
To share
to share.
as they see fit, equitably or otherwise.
You know, gawaneni hiyo.
Yes.
Hii ni ya Mushangi.
Yes. Na hii mfurahie. Msipofurahia pia ni sawa.
Okay. To welcome you to the conversation, CT has the day's proverb.
Our proverbs for the whole of this week, ending tomorrow, are from the country of Mali. If it's not a boy, it will be a girl, says the fortune teller.
It is either a boy or a girl.
Well, yes. If it's not a boy, fortune teller is telling you, don't worry, it will be a girl.
CT, are you sure this is the proverb?
I am reading it. I'm reading it as I wrote it, and I wrote it as it was written.
And it was written under proverbs.
Yes, it's a proverb. Look,
If it is not a boy,
Eric.
it will be a girl.
You know,
So
Eric.
really?
Mheshimiwa,
Yeah.
you know, Eric here is casting aspersions, and he's trying to suggest that perhaps I'm making these things as I'm going along. Now, let me ask you something else. There's a proverb I mentioned to him in the morning. Now, I will not say where it is from, but I want you to say, is this a proverb or not? Okay?
Yeah.
A foolish woman takes seriously promises made by a naked man. Is that a proverb or is it not a proverb? So, it is not I who decides that
These
it's a
things
proverb.
of yours, CT, leo umetupaka mgongo na chupa ya mafuta. Whatever that thing you said. Aye,
And is it a proverb or is it a saying?
Yeah.
You see, proverbs and sayings are synonymous. Okay?
Yeah.
When they say sayings of the wise, then someone will tell you it's a proverb. Okay? Someone says a proverb, so they're synonymous. The question usually is, why is it that you respond to the proverb in the way that you do? It often means there's a way in which it strikes you, there's a way in which it resonates with you. And if it speaks to something that you find common, you'll say, but it's too simple to be a proverb. And yet, it is you who has interacted with that reality.
Yeah.
So that's why you're making it common.
It looks simple to you.
Yes, but there are others who will hear and say, hey, this sounds interesting. Because maybe it's the first or second time that they're interacting with it.
I'm in agreement.
Okay. Sawa, mumeamua mfanye bipartisan yani. It's all right. It's all right. I will remain with the people.
You'll remain with the people.
And the people.
Solid.
Yeah, solid with the people. So, Mheshimiwa, you are chair of the Labour Committee in this 13th Parliament. What is the Labour Committee about?
Well, but just before that, it's good I say that my name is Eric Mushangi Njiro, and Karemba came from my turban. So when I first contested in 2013, straight from the university, people saw a very young man who donned a kilemba. So they used to say, that Karemba man. That's how the name Karemba came about. And I did a deed poll. I adopted the name. So it is my official name.
Now Karemba is official.
Karemba is official name.
So still Eric Mushangi
Eric
Njiro.
Mushangi Njiro is still my name. So, but I ended Karemba because I realized everybody, including the small kids, referred to me as Karemba. And I thought I should give that name to them so that they feel more comfortable.
Ownership.
Yes. And I am a former student of Kenyatta University. That is where I studied a couple of years ago, approximately 10. And
what did you study?
I studied education. I am a teacher of mathematics.
Okay.
Yes.
I also studied there when it was Kenyatta University College. I also studied education. But at that time, there was nothing else to study.
Okay.
there was only education.
If you went to KU College,
that's
the only thing
you studied education.
I was there when it was a university, and then there were several other courses.
Yes.
I was together with Dendi Nyoro, while at the same university, I was elected the students' finance secretary. At the same time, the Honorable Dendi Nyoro was the students' academic affairs secretary, and the member of parliament for Mkuruaini, John Kagusha, was the students' president. So by coincidence, around 5 of us later on met at Parliament as members of Parliament, and I really thank God for that.
You first contested in 2013.
Yes.
How did that go?
I came in second, a very close second. I was a young man. I was not even married by then, but I was able to move across the constituency and articulated issues, sold my vision to the people, and garnered 20,000 votes against 24,000 of Cecily Mbarire.
So would you say that your marriage status is what gave you now the seat?
There was serious resistance. There was serious resistance. Our people are not. Our people are accustomed to leaders who are married. They will consider you as a mature person when they see that you are a married man.
You have responsibility.
Yeah, you have a responsibility. Probably have a child or children. So I would say the youth factor contributed to me garnering quite a number of votes, but the mature people, the adults mainly, the mature people decided to give me time to mature as them. But once then the following year I got married, and I continued interacting with them, and they gave me very many votes. And we are great friends. I'm not just their leader. We are friends. So in the last parliament, I was in the Parliamentary Committee on Education. But this parliament, I was elected chairman of the Departmental Committee on Labour. So I oversight the Ministry of Labour and Social Protection, but specifically the State Department for Labour and Skills Development, and then the State Department for Public Service. Yes. Those are the two state departments that I oversight.
We'll come back into the present, but you've actually taken us into that bit of a past, which is interesting. How much did you spend in your campaign in 2013?
Approximately 5 million.
How much did you spend in 2017 and 2022, if you compare?
In 2017, I spent around, I would say, between 5 and 7 in 2017. In 2022, less than 10.
Okay.
Yes.
If you think about that and you think about other members of parliament who have joined you in parliament, are you among the higher spenders, the middle spenders, or the lower spenders?
I am among the lowest spenders.
Why?
It depends with how you decide to do your campaigns. If you decide that your people will know you for the big monies, that is how they will get to know you. And they will always expect big monies from you. Yeah? If the only thing that you offer to your people is money, I'm telling you, they will come for it and you will have to look for it to give it to them. But I decided to give something else except money. And this is leadership, which I sought for, and service. Yeah? Mm-hmm. And I have realized that over time, my people are very interested in services, and you will be with them offering services and providing solutions to the many challenges we have. And they will almost not remember that you can give them money. And if you have to give them, sometimes I have to remind them that I want to give them money. Because that is not what they are used to. They are looking for something else.
They're looking for something else.
Yeah.
Solutions
from
to
you. The many challenges that they have. Because one thing I have realized in my about 6 years now, and the many years that I have been in politics, is that our people have many challenges that require leadership. Yeah, and when one aspires to be a leader, you should always endeavor to sort out the challenges that your people have. So I would say I am committed to solving problems than thinking that I can solve people's problems using my little money. Yeah, it is not possible.
You know, I'm looking at your particular constituency, and the kind of people that they have taken to parliament before. It's a mix of either or that. But it's people who, for example, Cecily Mbarire twice, 2007 and 2013. Before that was Martin Wambora. Before that was Njero Ndwiga. And before that was Kamuithi Munyi. And, you know, we've had several members of parliament from this area. If you look at, and of course, Njeru Kathangu in 1997. Mtumishi Njeru Kathangu. It appears like the people of this constituency go for the outliers, the radicals.
There are constituencies that get that reputation.
Yeah.
Yes. It's like they are more interested in the person.
Oh, yes.
Than even the party. The party may benefit from your candidature, but it is you, the candidate, that they're interested in.
That is absolutely true. And if you look at the people who have been elected across Embu, like, for example, we voted for William Ruto. In Embu County, William Ruto got around 83%. In my constituency, he got 86%. But in the same county, we have a number of MCAs who are elected under the Azimio coalition. Actually, we only have around 8 elected out of 20, 8 elected UDA MCAs.
The other 12 are from...
The others are from...
Either independent or...
Either independent and other parties, the BAS party. And then we even have Jubilee. We have NAC Kenya. In my own constituency, which gave me 82%, gave William Ruto 86%. They gave...
They did not give him 100% of MCAs.
Yes.
Or at least even 86% of MCAs.
They still gave an MCA under the Azimio party. And that is to say that our people are not so much into party politics and money factor, but they are keen to see the kind of person who is contesting or who is aspiring to be a leader. That is Embu for you. When I contested in 2013, I contested under the Bas Party. And during that time, there was a very strong wave, the TNA wave. They still gave me the votes. You see that 20,000 votes was not little votes.
For a first entrant into politics, that is a huge.
Yes.
For practically a student.
Yes.
Yes. I
For
just
practical
graduated,
purposes.
so I was still remembering what I learned at the university.
You're still coming there with a comradeship.
Oh, yes.
Student leader.
So
why did you get into politics? Okay, no. You were in politics even in university. Why did you decide to actually transcend? You have just finished university as a student leader. Instead of going to teach mathematics, you decided to go and join elective politics.
Now, I would say that while I was at the university, I was given an opportunity to serve the people of Embu County, the students from Embu, as the chairman. They elected me. They decided that I be their chairman. And so I started serving them and organizing them in the many activities that students have, mentorship programs in the constituencies. We used to go and visit high schools and encourage our students. While still there, they proposed that I contest. And so I contested. And when I contested and won the position of Students' Finance Secretary, I realized that it was coming so easily. I was doing it so easily.
It was natural.
Yeah, it was coming out naturally. So, and I thought of extending. While at the same university, people started reaching out to me to consider offering myself for leadership, because back at the constituency and specifically in my rural home area, I had some few initiatives, empowerment initiatives centered around the church and around my immediate community. So it is at the university when I realized that, I am called to serve people. And I decided to venture into politics, constituency politics. And I am always not under pressure. It comes out naturally. I don't feel like there is pressure. Yeah, I love it. And like I am saying, I went to my people first as a politician, but we have become friends because during my tours of the constituency, we have made almost person-to-person engagements that have now allowed me to become a friend to the people that I serve. So I don't feel like it is any pressure. Going back to teach, or rather venturing into my area of training, felt like I am focusing on something smaller than what I am able to do.
You're destined for bigger.
Yes.
How then are you able to collect the views of your people? Because you're representing them in Parliament. How are you sure that what you're taking to the National Assembly is actually the pulse of Onyenjes?
There's something I did in 2017, and I have also done it a few months ago. I do public participation in my constituency, and I do it at the sublocation level. My constituency has 42 sublocations, and I have gone to all of them and held barazas in each of those sublocations. There are two things we do when we are doing public participation. We give people an opportunity to tell us what they consider as priority projects at the ward level, so that now we can capture their aspirations right from the sublocation. Then, right from the village level, they give me one person per village. My constituency has 402 villages. Villages that have the people we call village elders. So they give me one trusted person to represent them in the sublocation committee, yeah, development committee. So right at the sublocation, my people tell me what are the issues. I always get an opportunity to learn from them, to engage them, and I can tell you at the end of my tour of the constituency, I am able to tell what are the issues that are bothering my people. Yeah, from roads to electricity to water to education standards, yeah, and even to political affairs, because in those forums they also get an opportunity to speak to the issues national politics. So we always keep a very close engagement with them, and through those forums I have been able now to understand them. And whenever we lobby for finances or even allocate resources, we appropriate resources as per the aspirations of our people. We are not able to do to attend to all their needs at the same time, but we are able to tell that in this region, yeah, this is the issue that was raised by the people, and this is where we need to take our money.
So what would you say, on average, is the single biggest issue in Runyenjes?
Right now, our single biggest issue in Runyenjes, I would say, is roads. There are some critical roads that need to be attended to, followed by water from some sections of my constituency, like 3 wards to be specific.
And
I have 6.
And by water we mean piped water to homes?
Domestic and irrigation. My constituency has 6 wards. 3 wards have relatively enough water for domestic, but 3 wards have serious challenges. But my constituency is is 85% agricultural. Yeah, people do farming, coffee, tea, mangoes, maize, beans, such. So we are in dire need of irrigation water. So that is the second issue. Then the third issue is electricity. Yeah. About education, we are somewhere. We've been able to move our constituency from the bottom to. We have 5 sub-counties in Embu. We are now position 2. Yeah, from position 5.
Performance.
Yes. In 5 years, we have been able to engage the education stakeholders, the principals, and the parents, and we have seen progress in the area of education. So I would say we are somewhere, but we have critical roles that we would like the government of Kenya to attend to.
So top 3: roads, water, electricity.
Yes.
Let's take a break on that note. 27 minutes to 9. The Honorable Mushangi Karemba, the MP for Runyenjes constituency, is our guest this hour. He is also the chairman of the Labour Committee of the National Assembly. And in the next half, we'll be asking him about that Labour Committee and how that committee is actually taking care of the plight of workers across the country. You're oversighting the Ministry of Public Service. You're oversighting the State Department for Labour.
Yes.
And all attendant matters. We want to understand about that. Mheshimiwa, you've heard of Showmax. Showmax, right? Showmax is this platform that gives you access to unlimited content. I am saying unlimited because there's a lot of content. There is documentaries, there is movies, there is telenovelas, there is series. You also can get access to live news broadcasts from live channels, depending on the channel of the package that you choose. Now, there's one new show. It's a Kenyan show. The first Kenyan telenovela. It's called Second Family. It premiered last week on Showmax, and we've been telling everybody, just go to showmax.com, see the packages that are there, subscribe to a package, and you'll be able to watch this live and good entertainment on Showmax. Second Family, featuring 2 families, the Katehi and Langat families, and the drama that ensues there. We'll be back shortly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Mostly cloudy day today in Nairobi. Current temperatures at 16. Mombasa sunny at 28. Same as Malindi sunny at 29. Kisumu sunny at 21. Nyeri sunny at 17. And Nakuru similarly sunny at 17. Just the same way it is in Eldoret, sunny at 17. And Kakamega partly sunny at 20. Uganda, Kampala partly sunny at 21. South Africa, Johannesburg partly sunny at 12. Dar es Salaam sunny at 26, Kinshasa cloudy at 22, Lagos clear skies at 26, London cloudy morning at 6, New York cloudy night at 20, and Paris thunderstorms at 7. Surely, what's happening? Lusaka Road is a parking lot. Yeah, I'm seeing somebody asking that on Twitter, and I can see it's true that there's a situation on Lusaka Road as you head into towards the Nyayo Stadium roundabout. It's the same thing coming from Langata Road, heading towards the Nyayo Stadium roundabout and Lusaka Road Junction. Same thing happening with Aerodrome Road as you go into Bunyala. So that area is very, very, very busy this morning. Okay. Jogoo Road, busy. Lunga Road, busy. North Airport Road and Outer Ring Road, that interchange, very busy as you come into City Cabanas roundabout and then you join the highway. Crazy. Highway itself, clear. Ngong Road, clear. Langata Road, clear. Thika Super Highway, it's clearing. The traffic is now stretching only all the way back to Utalii, and Kiambu Road has not eased off much. It's still stretching all the way past DCI headquarters. Limuru Road has been moving. It's only now busy towards Muthaiga, the Muthaiga Junction, and then you take into the Muthaiga Deep. But the rest of it is okay. All right, 23 minutes to 9. The conversation continues with the MP for Runyenjes, Mushangi Karamba, who is also the chairman of the Labour Committee. You're saying you oversight the Ministry of Labour, of Public Service.
Yes.
Also the Ministry of Labour, the State Department for Labour. So what does that mean?
What that means is that our committee, the Labour Committee, is a committee that is supposed to do budgets for the State Department for Labour and Skills Development and the State Department for Public Service. Those two state departments always come to us for their budget needs. Then again, we have a responsibility as a committee to oversight the operations of those two state departments, including the agencies under them. The agencies under the purview of our committee includes the National Industrial Training Authority, NITA. Then also there is the National Employment Authority. Yeah, those are two agencies that are under the purview of our committee, and we are supposed to oversight them. Then again, also we are the committee that takes care of the trade unions. So when there are issues that require the attention of the committee, the trade unions will always come to us, and that is it. Then we also do work. We do work visits. Yeah, like recently, I think you heard something like the sexual harassment of female workers in Kericho County. After the expose was done by the BBC.
Yep.
So the committee undertook the matter, and we went to Kericho to do an investigation, and we brought together all the stakeholders. We listened to them, including the workers in Ekatera and Finlays, and we were able to do a report which I tabled before Parliament before we went for recess, and it will be coming up for debate in Parliament. So whenever workers from across the country have issues, and then they need the attention of Parliament, this is the committee.
So even whenever workers are not paid on time, this is the committee that should be bringing this matter to the attention of Parliament.
Oh yes, let them come, let them write to us. We'll always have an opportunity to listen to them.
Do they need to write to you?
Mainly, procedurally, when workers, either from government or even out of government, want to do some official communication, rather to get the attention from the committee, before we react to matters that are not very clear to us, we always like it that they write to us so that we have a beginning point. We don't just react to matters that we do not have facts.
Okay.
Yes.
Because
like, for example, just recently, I heard that the Honorable Wanda is saying that members of Parliament have not been paid. Yeah. But you see, I am a member of Parliament. I received my salary. Several other members of Parliament received their salaries. So if, for example, I went reacting, saying that members of Parliament have not been
Parliamentary
paid.
Service Commission.
You see, it will not be factual because members of Parliament have been paid. Our staff, most of our staff, have been paid, except except a few who might have not accounted for. Once they are paid, they are supposed to account. If they have not accounted for, they are not eligible for payment until
Could you explain that, please? When you say if they don't account, just that bit, I'd like to understand what it is that would prevent someone from being paid.
To be precise, it is filing for returns. Our members of staff are paid through the constituency office. There is an account that pays them, that takes care of their salaries.
The members of staff who work for the members of Parliament?
Yes, and women reps and senators. So initially they were being paid quarterly, after every 3 months. But we realized that their money is getting delayed and they are getting inconvenienced. So what we did, we advised Parliament and the Parliamentary Service Commission to consider paying them on monthly basis like us. So from I think 3 months ago, they have been receiving their salaries every month.
So they don't have any arrears right now?
No. So what they are supposed to do, once they receive the money, they are supposed to file returns because they are supposed to pay KRA, they are supposed to pay NSSF, they are supposed to pay NHIF. And it is the constituency office manager who is supposed to file returns on my behalf. That is not the work of the member of Parliament, but the constituency office manager. Once they file the returns, and the returns have been received at the liaison office in Parliament, they are now eligible for the payment of the next salary.
You get it.
So I get it very clearly.
It's now clear.
No, it's very, very clear.
Okay. Mheshimiwa, people who work in counties have been complaining of not receiving their salaries on time for many months. All right? So there are those that are paid, there are those whose salaries are delayed, but many of them will say that they receive their salaries, yes, but delayed, or it comes in bits. Have you ever initiated talks on this particular matter?
Well, the issue of the late payment of salaries in the counties comes from the late disbursement of monies from the exchequer to the counties. So you'll always find that counties have their own mechanisms of dealing with those delays. Yeah, the governors, before issues are escalated to the national government and to Parliament and to our committee, most of the governors have been able to explain to the members of the county assembly and even the other members of staff about the delays. And you see, this is common knowledge. It is not something that is happening for one county. It is happening for the entire in the entire country. So many county offices or other county governments have not found a reason to want to come to the committee. They have always wanted to push the national government to release the monies, because once money is released, they consequently pay the staff. So they don't see the committee as a platform to mediate, because there is the council of the governors that takes care of the interest of the counties, and especially on matters release of the funds. So the matters are not brought to us mainly for the reason that the counties are able to manage and to explain to the members of the county assembly about the salary delays and the late release of the finances, including the development expenditure.
So can you take up that matter without it having to come from the Council of Governors or from individual governors?
Well, we can take up the issue.
Unions, for example, the doctors' unions and the clinical workers' union have given a 7-day strike notice. And this is because of delayed salaries. And we've heard this many times before. Clinical workers, nurses, especially those in the healthcare sector. And that doesn't mean that it's only those in the healthcare sector who are not getting paid. It means that all cadres get affected by this. It's a recurrent issue. And because, like you've clearly said, you can clearly see the genesis of this. The genesis of this is not sufficient funds at the county level at the end of the month, and so that goes into delay. The the lateness of disbursement is a matter that goes to the National Treasury. So can your committee work on this, prepare a report that then harmonizes with the other relevant committees that asks the National Treasury, why are you disbursing money late? Because it impacts on workers and workers' morale and workers' welfare.
Actually, my committee has written to the CS for labor and skills development, and also we intend to invite the CS for treasury, Professor Ndongo, to appear before us and to tell us what the two ministries are doing to ensure that the salaries of the civil servants, the people working in the public service, are not delayed. So it is something we feel that we should approach from that level, because now going to the specific counties, it will take us so long because we have got to go to 47 of them. So in this case, we have decided to target the CS for treasury,
or the unions.
Or some of the unions have reached out to us, and we have written back to them and given them dates when they should appear before us, so that we can harmonize all these issues. Yes, like that union for doctors,
KMPDU.
Yes, KMPDU. They have written to us. They write to the speaker, then the speaker writes to us. Yes.
How about the Union of Civil Servants?
The Union of Civil Servants have not come to us. And I wish to mention that it is the first time in the recent past that salaries for civil servants are being delayed. And this is because the government has refused to borrow money to pay salaries. And it is understandable.
Last month it borrowed.
We are told
in February.
Or are you suggesting that other governments borrowed, and that is why they never had a problem with paying?
Yes, a lot of money has been borrowed by the government of Kenya, especially in the last government, to pay salaries. And it is the position of this government that maybe even if that salaries are delayed a little bit and you do not borrow, you gather money from the taxes in a few days and pay salaries, is better than when you go to borrow money and increase the debt.
Where was Parliament when all this was happening?
Parliament has been there, but I will tell you, it is all about leadership. It is about leadership.
Whose leadership?
We always say that the fish.
I thought an MP is a leader.
A member of Parliament is a leader. But we always say, and that is why I started by acknowledging that elected leaders have very serious assignments in terms of leadership. We always say that fish starts rotting from the head. It starts rotting from the hand. So if, for example, a president decides that we are going to borrow to pay salaries, and decides to align the entire government into borrowing money to pay salaries, as members of parliament, remember we rejected a number of us who supported, who are in Jubilee but who are being seen as not supporting Jubilee, rejected the raising of the debt ceiling. It is in record that we rejected.
Towards the tail end of the last parliament.
Yes, that we did. But that did not stop the government then to borrow money to pay salaries. So what I have privy to from this government is that it is giving priority to gathering resources locally than borrowing to pay salaries. Because again, I can tell you one of the biggest problems we have as a country right now is the debt burden. It is so huge, and the solution is not to continue borrowing. We are not solving our problems.
But Mheshimiwa, you are a mathematician, okay?
Yeah.
You chaired the, what was it in KU?
The Students' Finance Secretary.
Bas. When Parliament approves a budget of 3.2 trillion shillings with a deficit of over 800 billion shillings, and looking at the debts that Parliament has borrowed, is Parliament basically not sitting back and allowing the government to borrow more?
Oh, well, you see, you are a member of Parliament in a Parliament of 300 and
45.
approximately 45. Yeah. So even when, for example, you have a different opinion, and the motion passes. Yeah. So you cannot say that you are not a member of Parliament, yet you had a different opinion. Yeah. So you can only.
Are you telling me that there was a sufficient number or a number of MPs who voted no to the 2022-2023 budget?
Oh yes, and do you realize the supplementary budget? This government, the new government that we have, is in the process of doing its budget. So what we are operating under is the supplementary budget. Yeah, much of it, is the re-engineering of the budget that was done by the previous.
Yes, but I'm going back into in February, March 2022. Members of Parliament were looking at the budget policy statement from the National Treasury.
And we are saying you were in that Parliament.
Yes, I
in
was.
that Parliament.
Yes.
That Parliament was looking at a government saying, we'd like to spend 3.2 trillion shillings in the next financial year. Okay? And then comes to the budget estimates and looks at how much they're going to actually divvy up that money. But in that budget policy statement, just starting from there, 3.2 trillion shillings, this is how much we were able to collect in the last financial year. You can clearly see that you cannot finance this budget from own resources. You are therefore going to borrow. You approved the budget policy statement. You approved the budget estimates. You approved the budget. You cannot sit back and say fish rots from the head, fish rots from this and the other. If you did not vote no from the very beginning, you're in it.
Well, in Parliament, like I am saying, it is not always when you have a different opinion and the majority are for the opinion that this bill should pass or this motion should pass, you can only have your say, but the majority will have their way. That is what happens in Parliament. But you see, like for example, the challenge that we are in right now, because where we are, every Kenyan knows that we are just from a very serious drought whose effects have not been cured. And there was a lot of anticipation that KRA is going to collect a lot of taxes and meet some of the budget needs. But it is also a fact that we have deficits that need to be covered. even though we have deficits and loans have matured and they have to be paid, then, like I am saying, if we have to borrow to pay salaries, if we have the option of borrowing to pay salaries and the other option of maybe waiting for a week or so to pay salaries, I am thinking the best option is to
wait for a week.
Wait for a week.
Mheshimiwa,
Yes.
we understand this attempt at justifying the delay in paying salaries. We understand it. And we understand the position you are in. We understand the party you belong to.
Yeah.
And we also understand that there must be a party position on these matters,
Yes.
which must be articulated at every given opportunity.
Yes.
And we understand.
Yes.
Okay? But we also understand that with every budgeting process, just the term budget, money is set aside for all these expenditures, whether it is repaying a debt, whether it is paying salaries, whatever it is you're talking about. When you have a supplementary budget, once again, these matters are taken into account. They are in the budget. Now, when you take over and you are in government, indeed, you are taking over from a previous government. But it is not true to say, whenever we mention the previous government, that the then deputy president was not in government. He was. Okay? It's not complicated. He was. So long as he was the deputy president, forget the politics around the position. He was ignored. He was. Just like you were a member of parliament. So when we talk of responsibilities, it cannot continuously be shifted to a previous government that was there and not a continuation. Governments, it's a continuum. Whether it is Moi to Kibaki, Kibaki to Uhuru, Uhuru to Ruto, it is a continuum. That's a simple reality. So now, if we do not have enough money to pay, the explanation cannot be that we do not want to borrow because we've been borrowing. And we never really ask what the money is used for. We are told, but we never really ask. You borrowed. This government has borrowed. Governments borrow. Even the wealthiest governments on this planet borrow. So this narrative has to be aligned to the reality that we have. We have a situation and we don't have another government. It is this one. So we look to this government to solve those problems. Okay? Now, telling us you're collecting money fits in with these proverbs. If it isn't a boy,
It's a girl.
money is collected on a daily basis
One thing I would agree with you
Yes.
is that the government must take responsibility.
Yes.
There must be a government that is taking responsibility. On that, I am with you 100%.
Yes.
But also, I need to differ with you on the issue of William Ruto, for example, was the then deputy president, and you want to tell us to forget that we cannot forget. We cannot forget that he was the deputy president because that is factual. But I will also tell you that even though he had the title of the deputy president, it is not the title that mattered. It was the decisions that were being made. You remember, let me remind you.
I know what you're saying.
Let me remind you
And
that
I'm going to agree with you.
let me remind you that many cabinet sittings were done without him. A number of them were done without him. It is at the cabinet where most of those decisions were made. Yeah? And it is not just at the cabinet. Yeah? The country was in charge of somebody. I also don't like referring back to the last government and to the past because we cannot live in the past. We have got to know that there is a future, we have the present, and there is the future. But also, we are coming from somewhere. Yeah? That is where we are coming from. And we now have a new government which is trying to do everything within its ability to make things stabilize for a country. Yeah, so that is one thing I would like to make clear because I have seen a lot of effort being put, including efforts to make sure that, like for example, you see in Parliament, there is a time we used to travel quite a lot, yeah, both locally and internationally. As we speak now, that has been downsized.
In this country.
Yes. Yes.
Mheshimiwa.
Yes.
We
Okay.
invite Mheshimiwa to come back again.
Yes, we need you to come back. It's we've gotten to the top of the hour. Time for the news.
Yeah.
Mheshimiwa Mushangi Karemba will be back
All
because
right.
we have to continue having this conversation,
Okay.
and it's interesting to have you on
Yeah,
the show
thank
and
you.
to get your thinking and your name. Mheshimiwa Mushangi Karemba is the MP for Nyenja's constituency, chair of the Labour Committee. 9 a.m. Time for another conversation. Time for the news.
Good morning, this is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. The spouse of Deputy President Pastor Dorcas Rigathi has said tomorrow's meeting for leaders from the Central Kenya region will be a defining moment for the region in the fight against alcoholism and drug abuse. The meeting that will be convened by Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua will bring together all elected leaders, administration leaders and security teams from the region to come up with recommendations that will help in the fight against the illicit brews. Speaking in Kirwara, Murang'a County, Dorcas expressed concerns over increased cases of alcoholism and drug abuse in the Central Kenya region. And Eldas MP Adam Kanan has stated that he is happy with the position given by the Kenya Kwanza team on the bipartisan team. In an interview with Spice FM, he says that the party has raised its concerns within the Azimio leadership, maintaining that he has no apologies to make for working with the government.
So what we are going through right now is consistent with what happened to many other Kenyans. And for us, we will not take lightly. We will not sleep. We will not allow them actually to step on us. We will insist on occupying our rightful place in the 13th Parliament and within the Kenyan public. That is why, proudly, we will work with the government of the day. Whoever doesn't feel comfortable, then that is your business. We have no apologies to make. Jubilee Parliamentary Caucus has made a deliberate decision to work with the government of the day. We're still members of Azimio, but we have a problem. We have made a pronouncement that there's a problem in Azimio, and we'll sort it out legally.
He says Azimio has failed to give Jubilee what they are entitled to, and that a legal process to exit the outfit has started.
Somebody else has realized that we are a critical component, major stakeholder in the 13th Parliament, and therefore our role in the bipartisanship committee will be critical. To that extent, we say thank you to the leadership of Kenya Kwanza, led by the President and his deputy, and the entire leadership of Parliament, both the Senate and National Assembly. And we ask our colleagues in Azimio, for how long will one rely on deceitful, creative imaginations that has been the hallmark of their political career?
Mombasa Governor Abdul Samad Sharif Nasir has revealed that the coastal county is presently facing a water crisis. Governor Nasir said climate change and water supply reduction are some of the causes of the shortage crisis. He assured Mombasa residents that he will soon have a sit-down with the Ministry of Water in the national government in a bid to figure a way out of the crisis that he says has overwhelmed the county government. The national government, through the State Department for Correctional Services, is working towards relocating Homa Bay GK Prison to give way for the expansion of Tomboya University. The Commissioner General of Prisons, Brigadier retired John Warioba, said it was a directive from President William Ruto that the 27-acre piece of land be handed over to the university for the sole purpose of expansion of the educational institution. The GK Prison, which is directly adjacent to the university, is anticipated to be moved to Homa Bay Sub-County, Rangwe, Ndiwa, Suba North or Suba South Sub-County, all within the county. Detectives based in Mombasa have launched a manhunt for an international serial fraudster with fraud cases in Kenya, Australia and Uganda. The fugitive, believed to be a South Sudanese national, goes by several names including Don Solomon, Mukisa Okello, Tony Taban, Suleiman Malish Ye and Big Papa. He is wanted for depositing a bad check in favor of a supermarket in Kenya and fraudulently obtaining 10 televisions. He also fraudulently obtained assorted steel rods from a hardware at Bombolulu in Mombasa. He is also accused of fraud at various banks in Melbourne, capital Victoria State in Australia. The suspect has recently been spotted in Roysambu's Mirema Drive, where he is believed to be dwelling, and has evaded police twice. Police urge the public to provide any information that may lead to his arrest. And lawyer Dunstan Omar is demanding that National Assembly Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah apologize over a statement he made on Twitter within 7 days. In a demand through lawyer Brian Mabea, Omari also wants the legislator to retract the tweet, failure to which they will seek legal aid. Mabea claims that on February 1st, 2023, Ichung'wah posted a tweet stating, and I quote, "Few, at least, I'm known in Kikuyu by my people, unlike the fake media Nigeria-based liar, only known along Koinange Street. The tweet was made as a caption to a response to a video in which Omari was saying Ishungwa is only known in Kikuyu and not worldwide. Mabeya father says that the tweet was meant to portray Omari as a person of loose morals who keeps the company of prostitutes and is an immoral person. This is News. I'm Dennis Alceda. Good morning.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
So, has it improved where the issues were this morning? Let me tell you whether it has improved or not. First issue, Lunga Lunga. What was happening earlier? A lot of traffic, not Lunga Lunga, but Lusaka Road getting into Nyayo Stadium roundabout. It's still crazy. In fact, Langata Road coming to Nyayo Stadium is bad, and so is Langata Road into Aerodrome Road into Uhuru Highway at Bunyala. That is also quite crazy this morning. Landis Road going all the way into the market and then into Haile Selassie is also very bad. Kiambu Road and the Thika Superhighway have tremendously improved, compared to what they were looking like earlier. And then after that, after the tunnel, they're all good. Muranga Road is good. Wangari Maathai Road is good. Jogoo Road, the usual issues at Makadara. Crazy. Lunga Lunga Road, crazy. Outer Ring Road into North Airport Road is still not looking good. Into City Cabanas, that's not looking good at all. And so is Manyanja Road and Donholm. What's the name of this road? Let me tell you. Savannah Road, yes. Savannah Road coming into Outer Ring Road is also not looking good. But just be patient. Hopefully, things are going to improve.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latin, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
On to the final hour of The Situation Room today, Thursday, 13th of April, 2023. We have a new guest joining us in the studio. Her name is Aseka Aswani. Aseka is a career coach. She is also the Dean of Students at the Nairobi Institute of Technology. Good morning, Aseka.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well. Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation. Welcome to the hot seat of The Situation Room.
Thank you so much. I feel hot already.
Ready?
Yes.
Make yourself comfortable. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
A good ride.
Yeah.
The final conversation of the day. Okay? To usher us into a lovely Thursday. City, please welcome her with the day's proverb.
Yes. Our proverb for today comes from the country of Mali.
It's a gender reveal.
Yes.
Gender reveal proverb.
Kabisa. And all our proverbs for the whole of this week have been from the country of Mali. This proverb is quite profound. And you should listen very carefully.
I'm listening.
If it is not a boy, it will be a girl. says the fortune teller.
All right.
What do you make of that proverb?
It's either black or white.
Hmm?
It's going to be black or white, no gray areas. If it rains, it rains. If it pours, it pours.
Hey, that's a very interesting interpretation, wouldn't you say, Eric?
Nothing in between.
Nothing in between.
It's either day or night.
Yes. Yes.
Not vugu vugu.
Nope.
It's hot or cold.
Yes.
Okay.
No lukewarm in between.
Is that what you think that's what they meant with this proverb? So what are they? What's the message that they're communicating?
I would think that it wasn't supposed to be a boy or girl situation. I would think there's something deeper to it. It would be very vague if it was just
an obvious thing
an
like
obvious
that.
thing like that. Yeah.
So what do you think that deeper meaning would be?
The deeper meaning would be in any situation. For example, it's darkest before dawn, you know. Like if it's dark, it's dark. If it's light, it's light. And you have to take situations as they are. So you don't overthink it.
Okay. So let's not overthink the proverb.
Yes.
Okay.
We are not in Mali.
All right. So, Aseka, you're a career coach. What's
Yeah.
a career coach? Is that like this is your career
Yes.
as a coach?
I am
It's like where you say a career footballer.
So my career is being a career coach. Okay. Let me work backwards with this. I am the Dean of Students at Nairobi Institute of Technology, yeah? With that, I deal with students' affairs and matters public relations. In the years that I've served there, I have interacted a lot with students. And the career coach bit comes in whereby you start to realize it's not about enrollment only. You have to dig deep and understand what a student who wants to pursue higher education is looking for. If you're chasing numbers, it doesn't come in. You come in and say, I want to do secretarial course, and you enroll and start. So being a career coach is whereby you try to understand, why do I want to do this course? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? Is it a good fit for me? That way, when you understand someone's background, what they liked, the subjects they liked, how they performed, you're better placed to advise them on what they can thrive in or not, so they're not misdirected or misguided in what to do. Yes.
This is presupposing that not many people actually understand these things.
Yes.
You just know that you want to be. You don't know what you want to be.
Yeah. This comes from many myths about careers. For example, from the village I come from, I wouldn't say where, most of the people graduate high school and there are these traditional courses that they think they're supposed to get into.
For
example, back then there was a whole lot of people getting into teaching, just teaching, yeah? And then it was acceptable for women to just get directly into nursing, without, and in many areas in this country, I've come to understand they're not exposed to the wide range of careers available. So because they have no information, they end up going to those acceptable traditional courses that have been passed down every generation, yeah? So in career guidance, you try and sensitize the prospective students who are going to higher education on what exactly they can go into. Tell them, in this area, if this is your strength, you can pursue this. If this is your weakness, you can pursue that. Yeah.
Talking of careers, career counseling, and the example you've given of what are referred to as traditional career choices, would you say that the role models that they see, meaning when somebody looks at the community they come from or the environment in which they live or the social setting, that the people they see and the careers that these people represent acts as the first introduction they have to the possibility of careers that somebody can pursue?
That is exactly what I'm saying. For example, if you're coming from maybe let me put it as a story. There's a time NIT is in building and construction and digital design courses. So you find someone walks in with their uncle and their dad who's in construction, somewhere in construction, and they say, we want this guy to take quantity surveying. Okay, at that point you sit at the front office, you look at the result slip, and the result slip indicates that they have an E in mathematics.
An A?
E for elephant.
Meaning they're not doing very well there.
Exactly. And what is quantity surveying? Measurements and costings. How would you push a student who clearly is not strong in mathematics to go and do measurements and costings? Yeah? There are many, many other areas under that umbrella of construction that he can add value in, even if it's to follow in the footsteps of whoever they're looking at them as their mentor. Yeah? So the career guidance comes in whereby you now start to explain to the student and to the people who are bringing him in, who want them to walk in their shoes, that this is going to be a time bomb. Yeah?
But does it also not point to these escorters of the students, the ones who bring them in? Does it also not point to them not having received this very thing that you're now trying to introduce the students to? Because if they had that knowledge, or if they had interacted with that knowledge, then perhaps they would have pursued this matter in a different way.
Exactly. That leads me back to what I call exposure. Like if you're closed-minded and all you want is succession in your business, your endeavors, and you're pushing someone to go into that line. Yeah. But things are starting to change a lot. In the last 4 or 5 years, we've seen a trend whereby it's the students who are guiding the mentors, the parents, the guardians on what they want to do. I had an interaction with a parent at one of our parents' symposium who told me they had panicked a lot. It's a bishop from Kakamega who told us that their son told them they had seen a course on Instagram offered in Nairobi, and they wanted to enroll, and he was grounded about it.
A course in?
Animation and digital media design. So this woman was like, oh my God, my son wants to leave the village to come to Nairobi to draw cartoons. Yes? Okay. According to them, they were very myopic about the situation. Fast forward, after the graduation, the parent was very, very exposed and happy that this is a leading graphic designer in one of these leading media stations. Yeah? So it takes so much to understand, yeah? And it also takes some kind of grounding for someone to push. But also if there was more initiative in giving people exposure, even to churches, even to social halls, even to the villages, wherever these people are, and tell them of what is available out there for students, then maybe we'll not be in a position where students are being pushed to pursue courses that they're not passionate about, which has its cons, of course.
Is it the same today as it was, say, 40 years ago with students? You could say 40 years ago, well, no deep internet penetration, but no internet.
I understand.
Right now, there's internet. Right now, there's a lot of exposure on media. Students who are coming into school, maybe they're interacting with other students who are not from the same village as them, so they are sharing information. Would you say it's the same in terms of lack of awareness of the opportunities in life?
I wouldn't think it was the same back then. I think back then people went for what was available. There was this thing about you clearing high school and having made your choices, and you picked the first 3 options of the courses you want to do, and what job throws your way is what you go for. That was a trend.
Yeah.
And it got to a point where someone will do maybe community development for 3 years straight, 4 years, and then later on realize this is not my dream. After maybe toiling for a couple of years, now you go back. After now the private sector came in and there were many other options of part-time learning and all that, you now go and pursue what you perceive as your dream. Yeah.
You know, we've had this conversation even with other people, like with the CEO of the Kenya Universities and Colleges Placement System Service, and asking, by the time you're asking students to choose their preferred courses, has anybody explained to them what options are available? Do all students in our secondary schools from Form 1 all the way to by the time they get into Form 4 actually have this exposure? From your experience dealing with post-secondary students, are you saying that they actually come in there green, they don't have exposure, they have not had this kind of interaction, this kind of conversation with career coaches, with people who would advise them on available options?
What I know for sure is that even at the moment, KUCCPS, as much as they don't list the private colleges, they work with particular entities that go around the country to even remote areas to sensitize students about the courses available, the careers available for them. It's up to now these institutions of ours to partner with them to now dig deep and reach out to students and wherever they are, whatever demographics, whichever area, to now sensitize them, give them information, empower them about what they would like to do. At some point, I visited a school in Moranga, and we were trying to explain the courses that we offer, and they were shying off. When you come back to myths, there's something like, there are so many myths about entry requirements. You go to a school and you ask about things like architecture, and people freeze.
Yeah.
Because there's that mentality of, if I have not taken physics, and I'm not very good at mathematics, I don't qualify. If there were activations out there, strong activations, showing people that there are different curriculums. Of course, there are curriculums that require someone to have physics and particular cluster subjects. But also, for example, the NEC curriculum, Diploma in Architecture, does not require anybody to have, you only require an aggregate of a C-. That is not known to many people. So people also, like students in many areas, do not know that you can take progressive courses. For example, to take a course in civil engineering, you don't have to go to uni immediately.
You don't have to start with...
You can start with a certificate, go to diploma level, go to your undergrad, and then postgraduate level. So if these things were rampantly being done, then maybe we'll be looking at a different situation. But I'm so happy that nowadays there are so many efforts going around. I'm seeing so many career fairs, so many expos, exhibitions. Schools are opening doors to career guidance opportunities. So maybe with time, it will be a different situation altogether.
You know, there's this level, the level we are having this discussion at, is where one is still in the process of trying to acquire the technicalities of a career.
Yes.
Okay? But then there are those who actually have a career. And then having acquired this career, you're beginning to ask yourself whether really this career is really what you ought to really have taken.
Yes.
And what you really can do with yourself going forward. Now, career coaches like yourself, what do you do for people who already have a career? Okay? They're getting along with it. Where do you fit in? What is it that you do so that people can actually either improve on what they have, whatever it is that they need to do?
Yeah, okay. Good question. In such a scenario, for example, you've done your higher diploma or your degree or your master's in something else. You're a banker, maybe, and you think, I am into interior design. There's something we call professional certificate courses. You just walk into an institution. For example, you have something called a professional certificate in interior design. Only 9 months of part-time learning. You don't have to quit your job. You just have to make time, in maybe a Saturday, a full day, because, of course, it's a very practical program. You have to identify which area you want to go into and look into getting a professional certificate program, which you can always go and practice in. Yeah.
How about those cases where somebody went into college, they've come to NIT, they were enrolled for a certain program, and at that point they were feeling, and then 2-3 years down the road, they feel this is not my thing.
Okay.
They haven't graduated, they haven't finished. They have spent 2 years of their parents' money in this thing, and now they're feeling, nah.
They're not feeling this.
Nah,
Don't feel
I
that
don't
thing.
feel it. Yeah.
Yeah, the beauty about, for example, Nairobi Institute of Technology is that we are a small umbrella of courses. We are only in building and construction and digital media. So, for example, if you are taking architecture and you're thinking it's very technical for you, in your second year of learning, you realize, no, structures don't work for me like this. You're able to get credit transfers. Maybe you'll join interior design at the same level.
What are credit transfers again?
You're exempted the units you have taken. Most of these courses in this sector, the units are shared. For example, the first semester you will do communication skills. The same person in architecture will do the same thing. Entrepreneurship, you'll have done the same thing. There's something called studio, architectural communication. You'll have all done the same thing. By the time you want to transfer, when you get to the third to the fifth semester, that's when you start specializing in the areas. Maybe as an interior designer, you start into fittings, furnitures, aeration, acoustics, and something like that. But in architecture, now you get into the depth of structures. So if you think it's very complicated for you, you now get exemptions on this other area and venture into interior design. And voila, you graduate on the same level, and you're interior designer, the other person is an architect. Same civil engineering and quantity surveying.
Now, convince the father and uncle who brought this person 2 years ago, all right?
Yes.
And they have gone through heaven and earth
Yes.
to actually pay the school fees for these 2 years. And then the person is saying that, no, I want to shift. Even as they transfer credits, they are not transferring those 2 years.
We bumped into such scenarios. There.
Yes. Them they don't want surveying, them they want dressmaking.
Yeah, exactly. But that is a parent who wants to live their dream through their child. And at the point, at the point this student is, a semester 4 student knows exactly. You take your time. That is why there's a whole team to speak. You gently speak to them about it. You show them the progress of the student. Tell them the weakness. Tell them the strengths, and how they're under one umbrella and there's nothing to lose.
I like what you're saying, but then do you have an opportunity when the student first joins and they've been brought by the father and the uncle and the three aunties, do you have an opportunity to actually walk them through this course that they feel the child wants to take and what the possibilities are? This very conversation, instead of semester 4, do you have that opportunity to have it on that day one when they come?
I've been waiting for that question. Yes, and yes.
You've been waiting?
I've been waiting for that.
Yes, to all of them.
Yes, and yes. Sometimes parents look at it from a financial point of view. They want to the student has qualified for a diploma program, I want them to join. But when you convince them on the pros and cons, there's something we call exploratory courses. Yeah? So you explore for 3 months courses under this umbrella. And there are different sessions of every different course. For example, this week, you'll get into a class of architecture, next week QS, next week civil engineering, the other week digital media design. So that way, at the end of the 3 months, the student can know for sure that I'm walking into this. And at that point, you can even walk them into classrooms of senior classes. You know, they know the expectations of the course. They know what they are walking themselves into. So by the time they're getting to semester 4, to say that they were not aware is going to be a hoax. And also there's something called a foundation program. Yeah? You take a foundation course. The first part, you're not satisfied, you're not sure you want to do the course, you take the second part. After successful completion, you go to the diploma program that you want. So these ideas of people dropping out at semester 4 level are mostly those ones who are pushed. You have a thorough push. You don't want to disappoint. You don't want to look like you're retaliating. So you go ahead and do it. Or maybe you don't know your strengths and weaknesses and discover at that stage. And that's normally just sad.
Let's take a break at this note. At 9:30, this is Kenya's biggest conversation. Aseka Aswani is a career coach. She's also the Dean of Students at the Nairobi Institute of Technology. This is the one... what's that road called?
Westlands Road.
Westlands Road.
Lot number 10. Yes.
Plot 10. So, these are the ones on plot 10.
Yeah.
Okay. We're talking about the myths that are there surrounding certain career choices, and we want to hear that from her. Asaka, you know about Showmax?
Yes.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Of course, you teach people in graphic design and also media stuff.
I don't teach, but I know.
No. I mean, you guide students who are taking these courses.
Yes. Showmax.
Showmax has some very, very good content and very, very good Kenyan content. Now, for the first time, there's a telenovela made in Kenya. It's called Second Family. It premiered on Showmax last week. It has Ian Bogwa in the cast. It also has people like Deda on the cast. Okay? It's about two families. Please, when you go back, if you've not subscribed to Showmax, go and log on to showmax.com, look at the packages, okay?
Yeah.
And then you choose the one you want to, subscribe, and binge watch.
I will.
It's all about binge watching. In this
E-discovery,
kind of weather.
we'll have all the time.
In this kind of weather. Ka blanketi, ka flask hivi, or whatever.
Single kiasi.
Those are things to watch.
Yeah.
In fact, single kiasi, big on Showmax as well. Let's take a look at the traffic and the weather.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
I'm sure you're wondering how you can spend less and get more as we approach the Easter period. Well, the Standard Digital e-paper has a solution for you, and it's the half-price Easter special for all news and entertainment buffs who look for a credible source of information and content they love. Well, this one's for you. We're offering you a chance to pay half for the full story and all the extras. Instead of 6,199 Kenya shillings, pay 3,099 Kenya shillings and stay on top of what is happening across the globe at your own convenience for less. This incredible offer is valid till 30th April 2023. Subscribe now. Visit epaper.standardmedia.co.ke and enjoy the half-price Easter special. Get the full story all year long. Only with Standard Digital e-paper. Standard Digital e-paper. Tap up, just how you like it.
Blood is not always thicker than water.
Start your life here. It's not enough for me. It's just not enough. You don't know what they do to girls like you. I think it's having an affair.
Two families are at war and family ties get broken.
Sorry, who is your father?
Discover the shocking truth in Second Family.
I had another family. Another wife.
Tune in to Sugar and Spice to find out more about The Second Family, Kenya's first original telenovela, and why
It's still 16 degrees Celsius in Nairobi. If you compare that with Mombasa, which is 29 degrees, or Malindi, which is 31 degrees, or Kisumu, which is 23 degrees, then you can see why I'm saying it's not warming up in Nairobi. Nyeri is 18, it's warmer than Nairobi. Nakuru is 19, it's warmer than Nairobi. Here? Eldoret is 19, it's warmer than Nairobi. Kakamega is 22. What's happening? Okay, anyway. Kampala is 23, it's mostly cloudy. Johannesburg is 16, is sunny. Mostly sunny in Dar es Salaam as well at 27. Kinshasa 23, Lagos 26 and sunny day. London is partly sunny at 6. New York is mostly clear skies at 19. And Paris is mostly sunny later today, but there have been thunderstorms and a thunderstorm warning. Current temperatures in Paris, 7.
Spice up your life.
Okay, so earlier on Kiambu Road, there was a bus that had done the thing that the buses usually do, and it ended up in a ditch just after DCI. They were using all means to try and move that bus, and that's the reason why traffic on Kiambu Road was crazy this morning. That has cleared now. You come all the way to Muthaiga, no traffic. You'll only find traffic at the interchange into the superhighway, and then when you get to the tunnel, after the tunnel at Pangani, it's all good. Mombasa Road has been crazy, especially between Nyayo Stadium roundabout into Nyayo Stadium, coming all the way into town, into Haile Selassie. It has been busy, but now it's improving around Lusaka Road. That as well is working well. Lunga Road is the one that's now very, very, very busy. And still, Jacaranda Road is still very busy. Manyanja Road has cleared. And which one is this? Kangunda Road is also slightly busy around Umoja, but after that it clears. Good morning.
Business News with Spice FM.
I'm Dennis Aseto. Kenya's economy is expected to grow faster this year, beating earlier projections by the International Monetary Fund. In its latest World Economic Outlook for April 2023, IMF forecast Kenya to register a real gross domestic product growth rate of 5.3% this year, compared to an earlier projection of 5.1% in October last year. The economy is further expected to grow marginally to 5.4% next year. Kenya is targeting to attract 10 million visitors by the year 2027. The country is aiming to tap new markets in East Asia, North America and Africa to show up the numbers. The Kenya Tourism Board says the country is on target to attract more than 2 million visitors in 2023. KTB Chair Francis Gishaba says the number of visitors continues to rise, with 294,000 tourists arriving in the country between January and February this year, compared to the 184,228 arrivals in a similar period in 2022. Now, Roads and Transport Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen has announced plans to develop policy to enhance uptake of electric vehicles in a bid to accelerate electric mobility. Speaking during the launch of electric buses by Busigo, the policy will also provide guidance to county governments on how to promote electric mobility in their respective areas. Summit Recruitment and Search is looking for a retail manager with a bachelor's degree or diploma and at least 5 years of experience working in retail. Suitable candidates are required to send their CVs and cover letter by 21st of April 2023. Visit jobs.digga.co.ke for more information on these and other jobs. Digga Jobs, your credible and trusted jobs partner.
Spice FM Business. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
Conversation with you for the next 2 minutes. One, who's a career coach. She is also the Dean of Students at the Nairobi Institute of Technology. We are trying to bust the myths regarding certain career choices. What are some of those career choices, Swani, for the last years that you've been a career coach, that you've seen people come with certain misconceptions or certain thoughts about a career?
Yeah. Like a year back.
Ili ya kabila fulani.
Ati ya kabila.
Yeah. Wanasomaga. Because.
Ndo wanakuanga madaktari. No. Most of them are sometimes gender biased or some basic misconceptions. Like we were just saying a few minutes ago about this idea that men are not supposed to pursue nursing. That was very backward. It was in the past. Like more than a decade ago when I joined NIT, the ratio of ladies and gents in a construction class. Construction, I mean in a civil engineering class, quantity surveying class, architecture class. There were maybe 3 or 4 ladies and up to 14, 15, 17 gentlemen. Over the years, with all the sensitization and the understanding that what a man can do, a woman can do better, as we speak, it is more than just balanced. You can get into an architecture class and find 17 ladies and 13 men. Yeah? I walk into our masonry and plumbing workshops and you're wowed by how the only way you tell that this is a lady is by their physique. They are working. There's no fear of getting their hands dirty. So these misconceptions about even these ideas of a while back, you'd never dare tell your folks, oh, I want to be a DJ. Yeah? It'd be like, mama huyu mtoto anataka nini? You want to kill me before my days. Like, have I taken you through school, sold my cows, that you go and spin
something.
Something.
You're playing music.
Yes. Don't we have enough batteries on this radio?
And in a bar.
In a bar. And even more so ladies. Like you'd get into entertainment and then they consider you a pariah in society. Yeah, but that has changed with time. And so glad that this is changing and guys are being open-minded about not focusing on particular genders or traditions when it comes to careers.
What do they give credit to for this?
Education, really. Education and the kind of growth going on, not even in the Western world, like the idea that people have proven the odds, have beat the odds. Someone has become a DJ and become more successful than that doctor you used to kneel. You used to kneel to, you know. Like a plumber is making it. Right now, these technical courses, these vocational, these TVET courses are more sought after. Yeah, there's no need to, not really a need, but you're not shunned upon when you go and take a plumbing certificate course, a masonry certificate course, just because at the end of the day, it can only take maybe 9 months of good financial skills and saving up, then you become the employer. It's not about employability anymore.
But if you look at the thinking behind the courses that we are speaking of, and the narratives that follow these courses, is it that people didn't want to take the courses, or is it that we valued courses based on the financial rewards we thought were associated with them? Yes, because the prestige. Is it the service that it provided, or is it the money that is attached to the course?
I think it will be the misconception of the prestige behind it, and then just wanting to be that person, you know. Like,
you know, this prestige issue is not an individual issue. It's a society issue.
Societal, yeah.
I mean, imagine you have gone for, this dowry, whatever, and this other family has come and you're introducing family members. Huyu ni plumber.
Huyu ni mason.
Huyu ni pilot.
And then the other side stands and says, huyu ni pilot, huyu ni daktari, and on your family side, huyu ni plumber.
Huyu anatengenezanga tiles.
Huyu anachezanga DJ music pale ile club.
How's that going to play out?
Right now, it is what it is. It is what it is. For as long as you know the reward behind it. And I doubt right now it's about the big names. It's just about how much you're cashing in on and how you're making a change and your role in society. And right now it's even. It's very even for everybody. The plumber makes the same contribution as that doctor. You're saving your small rooms as much as you're saving lives.
Let me take you a little further back into history. You work in a school.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
It's an institute.
Yes.
Okay? Now, there was a time when teachers were considered the most valuable and most prestigious people in society. Why was it so? They were considered the most educated.
Yes.
And that education was prestigious.
Yeah.
Okay? that glory and that sheen reduce with time. So now being a mwalimu, sawa tu.
Being a mwalimu is still not sour too, because they still serve.
Believe me, that's the point.
Yeah.
The view.
Yeah.
That's why I asked that initial question about what it is, because the role has not been diminished.
Yes.
The importance of that role has not been diminished.
But the value.
Yes.
The remuneration.
Because it's like with every career we quantify it.
Yeah.
What is the monetary value at the end of it?
Which is sad.
It is tragic, actually.
Yes.
And if you look at the societal reward, for instance, let's look at security policemen.
Yeah.
Look at the role they have. Look at how we reward them.
Yeah.
And look at where we place them. And historically, you are a policeman, you joined the army when some of these other courses that require you to actually pass an exam.
Don't say that.
That's why I said historically.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
But you think that is bad? To become a pastor, priest, join a college, when these other ones didn't work.
Oh, gosh.
Historically.
Yeah.
So when somebody who was a pastor, you knew, okay, here, unduga lilemewa, sawa, lakini
Mungu kuna meno yote,
Mungu alimwonekana, kuna kakosi lipatikana.
Wacha tumsaidie.
Now, when you run, you're a dean of students. You have a huge responsibility. How do you help change some of these narratives and some of these? Because this is the thinking that people come into the college with, even as students. Those who bring them in are the ones who are the custodians of these perspectives and these views. How do you help change so that the next generation, when they go through your institute and at the end of it, you not only have somebody who's qualified in the courses that are being offered, but you have somebody who has actually changed the way they look at life?
Yeah. You start very diplomatically, yeah? You counsel the people bringing the students. You tell them the eventualities if they push, yeah? Back to a story. There's a parent who brought in a student, very focused, paid a whole year of fees for a particular course in our institution. Second semester, this student is like, no, this is your program. He opened a butchery at with the rest of the fees, Upper City Market. That is not my calling. The retaliation is just wild.
Your pesa
fees anauza nyama na anatengeneza profit, a good one. Even at the point where they came to realize they are coming to the graduation and there's a whole chain of butcheries this guy is thriving in, they realize once they retaliate, I like the youth.
So did he graduate?
He did not graduate. He didn't attend classes.
He didn't attend classes at all.
Yeah, it's the cash that was coming in.
But the parents used to give him cash.
Yes. Yeah, and also when you look at a class.
Entrepreneurship as a course?
Sorry?
You didn't give him entrepreneurship.
We don't offer that. Sorry. And then you look at a scenario whereby a student comes in and they're not passionate about something. You guide them, they refuse. They refuse to hear you out. What normally happens as an adult, for as long as you're over 18, what happens is you flop, then the dropout levels are very, very rampant. So you start with a class of 35, you graduate 14. Yeah. So you actually take these guardians and parents through all these things. That is why the expos and exhibitions are very available for both parents and students. And we encourage students to come with their parents. That way, when you're coming to understand a program you want to take, you'll be able to understand what exactly, and you can also sell the idea to the parent. This weekend, we have something called an open day, available for any prospective student, any parents who are looking into courses in construction and digital design. What we do is we take students' projects, display them beautifully, and have the students themselves walk the prospective students through the projects. Yeah, that way you'll have an understanding from semester 1 to semester 6. This is the course I want to do. This is what is available. This is the fee requirement, the entry requirement. If you come with your parent to something like an open day, if they are not sold by the end of it, then there's a problem.
What happens in that open day? Because this is a time when you're introducing somebody to all these other options.
Yes.
And you're not only introducing the student,
Yeah.
you're also introducing the parents, the guardians, the adults.
Yes.
So what happens? Walk us through. So we've checked in. This Saturday we are coming to the open day, Saturday 15th of April.
Yes.
Between 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. So let's say we come at 12 p.m.
Yes. Coming at 12 p.m. is okay because it's a walk-in, walk-out. You don't have to be there by 10
You don't
o'clock.
have to
You'll
be there
not
at
miss
10.
anything.
See, ati kuna
We have
speech.
lots of ushers. We have lots of staff happy, ready, happy, and able to help. Yeah. So when you walk in, for example, you introduce yourself. How did you hear about us? What are you interested in? Even before you know what you're interested in, we'll walk you through everything that's available. Like I had mentioned earlier, it's all under one umbrella. Design and just design. Either digital design or building design. Yeah. So we'll walk you through the entry requirements, what the expectations are. We show you projects you can do in semester 1. This is semester 2. That's a senior project. And all this time, you're not getting it from us, the lecturers or the staff. It's the students you're asking questions. You're interacting with someone like yourself.
So
who is doing
it's an
is walking the
exhibition
talk.
by students.
By students.
Okay.
Of students' projects. The staff are only there to help to give clarifications of questions that maybe might be too tough for the students to answer. And when they do this, like even this exposure, like I had said, this is the same exposure that gives the students exhibiting these projects. For example, if I'm a contractor, I might walk in there and see a prospective employee. That way you identify the people you can work with, and you see the quality of work that the students are producing. And I would doubt that any parent who really, really wants to support a child's dream and sees the quality of the work going around will be able to refute them the chance.
You know, these TVET courses are very hands-on.
Yeah.
Like now, looking at your courses in building and digital design, it's a very practical course.
Very, very, very.
How much time is taken in school? How much time is taken in practical? And how much of internship and such are you offering?
All right, we have modular courses, and we have other courses that are examined termly. Yeah, every course has termly exams, but there are those that are examined. The NEC courses are examined modular. They have modular exams. The much time they take, the only part-time course we have are the professional courses, the ones that we were talking about earlier, about someone who wants to change a career, wants to do a professional course. Yeah, every other course is full-time. Because there's something called, like I mentioned, a studio. A studio is weighted as 4 units. So in fact, in IT is open 365 days a year, because students even spend nights working on drawing tables and interacting, because an architect would want to consult with a quantity surveyor and an interior designer and a civil engineer while working together. That way, they spend literally the whole week, and they were even open during the weekends in doing their work. Our calendars, our timetables run from 7 o'clock to 6 o'clock. Yes.
So, but how much of this time are they spending in industry, in workplaces, apprenticeship and such?
At the end of every module, for example, in architecture, after the 3rd semester, you go for 3 months. As you have done your NEC exams, you go out for 3 months in a related field. You will not do architecture, then go to a barber shop and intern, of course. And there are supervisors who come and check out your work and then follow up on how you're doing, and we demand feedback. That way, at the end of the program, you give out quality graduates in the field. Yeah, so it's really like our student-tutor ratio. In every class of 35, there are like 5 studio masters. Those are the ones that you pick your 5 students or your 4 students that you follow up through the entire program. That way, it's very, very hard to lose sight of them along the way. And also doing the courses and being mentored by the same people who are teaching you. In an interior design class, will be taught by an interior designer. So by the time you're due for attachment, unless you have very work projects, they normally just come in and grab them, and you don't even need to seek attachment yourself. Yeah.
Let me understand. When you say you choose your students and you work with them, just walk us through this working with them.
Okay. in a setup, in a studio setup, maybe where I have 35 students and I have 5 studio masters, every student has their own capabilities. There are those who are a bit maybe slower than others. Maybe there are those who are shy. Maybe I come out very strongly too. You need a bit, even when we're interviewing the tutors, we give different options. I will give a toned down person. I will give a very high person, someone who can, a patient person, one who, there are those who wants to go, students who want to go ahead of the class. You also give that kind of character. That way, if you're shy towards maybe Latif, you will not be shy towards Aswani, assuming we have 2 different characters here. So that way, in a class, and we have an open door policy. Even after a classroom, you can follow them to their boardrooms and ask questions and follow up. Yeah, okay. That way, nobody is left behind. And the beauty about the projects, the courses that we do, they are marked weekly. Yeah, so the grading for week 1 and the grading for week 2 up to week 12 are what are going to comprise of your marks.
So it's not one huge exam.
Yeah,
at the
so
end of
you have time to improve. You consult.
So continuous assessment.
Continuous assessment. Yeah, and that way you can be able to know where you're making a mistake. Even if I tear your papers in a particular pin-up, you have the entire weekend to make amends and pin up on Wednesday and make.
Yes. Now these are technical courses that you offer. Attachment. How do you work out the attachments, and how do you determine which student goes to which institution, and for how long do they have them, and how frequently do they have these attachments?
In one, for example, during the entire session of one diploma, you must have.
How long is a diploma?
2.5 years.
Okay.
You must have gone for 6 months industrial attachment. 6 months.
At once or
not at once? 3 months, go back. Of course, you have to learn and go input more. Yeah. After maybe 3 semesters, you go for one attachment. 2 semesters, another one. Then the final semester, then you go into the industry as a graduate after you graduate. So what happens is we don't seek attachment for our students. What we do is expose them to the possibilities. We don't have them sit in class the entire time and draw. We take them to sites. We bring external examiners. We bring experts from the industry. We work closely with guys in the industry. That way, we prompt the students to be very serious with their work. Yeah? If you're producing bad work, you end up struggling. We've never had a scenario where we had more than 3 or 4 struggle in a class to get industrial attachment. And when that happens, since we are all under the same umbrella, we try and assist. Okay. Maybe the issue is not normally how they produce work, but maybe their self-esteem, how their interpersonal skills, something of the sorts. But we work with them through that journey. And at the end of the day, they all graduate with the industrial attachment.
What do you do with students who clearly have an interest, clearly doing their best, but they're simply not cutting it?
We advise them accordingly. As the Dean of Students, in charge of Students' Affairs, when a tutor notices that amejaribu Kiingereza, Kiluya, Kijaluo,
iko ndani yake lakini haibambi, it's not working out at that point.
What happens is you walk them through other options in the same areas. Maybe you're an art student, assuming because you can draw, you can take architecture or interior design. We guide you through what else you can do and what you can pursue. That is a bit gentle and within your scope. And we happily see them off.
Conclusion.
Yes.
Your students graduate with diplomas?
Yes.
And certificates?
Yes.
What kind of recognition do they get? Like architects, do they get recognized by the Architectural Association, by the National Construction Authority, by the Engineers Board for the engineers?
For architecture students and civil engineering students, quantity surveying students, by the time they sit exams with Borax, they have already completed the program. But they are students, members of these associations, right? What happens is, once they complete their diploma level, they are able to get exemptions, credit transfers. So you don't just come out of the diploma and start from year 1 when you go to a bachelor's program. That way, you have not wasted your time. You're progressing in your career.
And that is recognized.
Yes, that is very recognized.
Asante sana.
Yeah.
Once again, the open day is this Saturday.
15th.
15th.
Yes. at
From
our
10
main
a.m. to
campus.
5 p.m.
Yes.
The main campus is plot 10.
Westlands Road.
Westlands Road.
Yes, yeah.
The Nairobi Institute of Technology.
Thank you
Aseka,
so
thank
much
you
for having
joining
me.
us.
Yeah.
Aseka Swani is a career coach. She's the Dean of Students at the Nairobi Institute of Technology. Thank you for tuning in to Kenya's biggest conversation. Tomorrow is Friday. We'll be here. Now it's 10 o'clock.